they did the switcheroo?
Oh shit, I was muted.
Let's say they did the switcheroo on you.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know my wrath. My blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll put it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. I don't fucking take smoke, I'ma poke a hole through you. Choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude. Crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently. Thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes a dynasty. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll put it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back.
Hello, my good peoples. How are you all doing? Okay, let's see here. I got Miss Barbara back here with me.
Hello, everyone. Thanks
Hi,
for
Grandma.
being here.
Thank you for being here. KB, hey girl, hey. Marianne, my sweetheart. Okay, this live is going to be about, of course, the Treehouse Murder with Franklin Ty Tucker. This is day 5. Okay, in my opinion so far, I don't see any evidence that points to him. So this is his, whatchamacallit, from today. He continues to interview Travis and then the DNA person. And I don't know what happened because I haven't been home. As you all know, I got into a car accident. Oh, here we go. Oh, Jesus. God, I'm shaking. Can't believe this shit. What's going on? Come on. There we go.
Car accidents shake you up whether you're okay or not. Okay.
I know it is. I even felt sorry for the people. The first thing I did was go to them, and I touch them by their arm. I'm like, hey, are you okay?
It looks scary, I know that. Sure, it's got you shaken up.
Yeah, so there's damage all on the passenger side front and underneath the car. Thank God I was a mile away from my house, so I was
And
able.
you're okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
ended
God
up.
you're okay.
I told them that, and I told the cop they weren't going to call the cops. They were just going to give me their information and leave. I'm like, no, I'm calling the cops. And then, of course, when they talked to the cops, they said, it's my fault. Well, whatever. I was honest with the cop, told him my side. And I said, to be honest with you, everything is so crazy right now. It could have been my fault. It might not be my fault. I'm not sure. The cop did not give me a citation. So that tells you something. But
Yeah,
you know what? I'm going to get the intersection has, I want to say 10, 20, 30, 40 cameras. And so I'm going to get the footage and the body cam footage.
You know what's crazy? Years ago, if you would have told me about these cameras being everywhere, I would have
They are.
probably argued that point. But now I'm grateful they're everywhere. They need to be more places.
Yeah, cameras don't lie. People do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I used to not believe in that. For some reason, in the last few years, it really has changed me on that
Right.
matter.
Right. So yeah, I'll
And
be
I
okay.
definitely do believe all of the cops. I don't care, sheriff, city, I don't care who you are. If you're a police officer, you should have to have a body cam on.
Well, then for them to lie and say that the owner of the vehicle was driving, no, she wasn't. It was a man. They were in their 80s.
They switched seats on you.
I wasn't even paying attention. I just was in my car with my head on my steering wheel. After I made sure everybody was okay and I took pictures of my car.
And you're like, oh no, another incident in my life.
I know, right?
Uh,
My dad's like, you got the worst fucking luck. I said, I
no,
know, right, Dad?
no, this is what you say every day, kid. I'm serious, it works. Every day, get up and say, I got the best luck ever.
Right.
Say it to yourself. You'll speak it into existence. I believe in that.
Well, I said to him, I go, because I'm more of a positive person than he is. And I said, don't say that. Come on, no. I go, I'm superstitious the way it is.
I have a friend that used to say that all the time, and they changed saying that and started saying they have the best luck ever, and it changed their luck.
Right. And I'm just happy nobody was hurt. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing ever. Even though, my car went in the air a little bit,
Yeah, it looks scary. I don't mean to laugh. You know what I mean.
Yeah, and my car was thinking it was in the NBA or something.
I'm thinking, oh my goodness, another thing happened.
I know, my poor car. I feel so bad for my car. Now with the front end damage, my car's probably going to be totaled out. I bet you anything.
Maybe you'll see, you have good luck. You're going to get a new car out of it.
Right. They hit me. I didn't hit them.
Start speaking the car you want into existence, Kit.
Yeah, they fit me. They hit me. They hit me.
When I decided to get a new car, I started talking what kind of car I wanted, what color I wanted, and everything.
You graced us with your opinions,
Right.
Mr. Tucker. Where were you?
Here we go.
The case was.
He was late again?
I was again on my way here, Your Honor. Again, I'm not the best judge of the traffic and everything in Key West anymore. Apparently, I don't. I mean, I know I used to live here, but I also, I haven't been able to judge it. I was actually planning on being here early today, Your Honor.
Well, this is the last time, sir, because next time I'm going to issue a capias. You will be taken into custody, and we will then know where you are, because we have 14 people who were here on time, 2 more over there, 1 more over here. These people, for about the 6th time, we've sat here waiting for you, and it now is interfering with the orderly process of this trial. I have been more than indulgent with every step of the way, and you're plodding along and showing up late and your cavalier attitude. Be warned, next time I will grant the state motion for capias, and we won't have this problem anymore. So there's nothing need to be said other than if you need to leave earlier, whatever you need to do, be on time.
Yes,
So,
sir.
with-
Yes, sir. That's all I want to say. Yes, sir.
Mhm. So in any event, we're back and Mr. Johnson is here.
Yes, sir, Duncan.
Water, please. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Johnson. Well, it's afternoon, but good day in any event. So we're back here in trial in State versus Tucker, 17 CF 841. You're back on the witness stand. We're going to bring the jurors here in a moment. I just remind you, you were sworn to tell the truth yesterday, and that oath remains in effect today.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bring the jury in, please. One more? Okay, well, you folks can have a seat while we're waiting for our final juror to join us from the jury room. Okay, thank you. Everyone can be seated. Good afternoon, members of the jury. Good to see you all here today, albeit the beginning of the afternoon. As I told you yesterday, I did have a docket this morning, and we did accomplish what we needed to with those other cases. And so we're prepared to continue where we left off in State versus Franklin Tucker. The witness, Mr. Johnson, is here. He is still under oath, and we're going to continue with the cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. May we approach the sidebar?
Yes?
Okay, Ty, if you're watching this, you need to be on time. Super serious, even if it's an hour early.
Yeah, I would sit out. I'd sleep in the parking lot before I'd be late for something like that. But he's probably stressed out.
Oh, yeah. Right.
But you have to be on time.
I'm always early anywhere I have to go because it's a pet peeve of mine. But this is his freedom here.
Right. This is his life.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to camp out in the courthouse lawn to be on time.
Well, yeah, you'd had no problem too with your signs.
Oh, just get you a tent.
There you go.
I mean, it sounds like he's kind of used to being homeless. Wasn't he homeless anyway?
No, not him.
Oh.
Everybody else was, pretty much. Well, I can't say 100%. I'm not sure because this is such a new case.
Wasn't he staying in that garage or whatever?
Yeah, I'm not.
It sounded like all of them were kind of just staying anywhere after that hurricane.
I want to know who owned it, though.
Oh, we don't know yet.
No. Nope. Because remember, he's a co-founder of that gym.
Yeah, they had that court date for James Wade. And man, I woke up that morning and my water was frozen. So I wanted really to make that court date.
I know, right? We'll find out what happened though. I suppose I can skip to the. Yeah, I'm gonna skip here.
Since in my
Here we
truck
go.
into the residence where I was residing, yes, this is when I discovered
Okay.
the backpack in my footlocker.
Backpack in your footlocker, and you have no idea how it got there.
No, I don't.
And when was this footlocker out of your possession?
Several times.
Okay. Now, looking at the dates again, did you, you said that I helped you put your footlocker into your truck. Do you remember what date that was?
The date that I left.
Okay. So that would have been on the, what, 22nd? Oh, I'm sorry, no, it wouldn't have been on the 22nd. That would have been on, what? Yeah, that would have been on the 21st. Is that correct? Did that sound about right?
That sounds about correct, yes.
Okay, good. Because you said the day of the raid, right?
The day after, like the morning after, yes.
Morning after, so that would have been the 22nd. I'm just trying to keep our timeline here. Okay, so 22nd is when you moved, and supposedly I helped you move this footlocker. I seem to remember, let's see, let's go with my memory. Now, after the raid, I wasn't there, correct? I was at the police station.
I guess they took you into custody, yes.
Okay. Well, actually, you wouldn't have known where I was. That's true. Okay, so but I wasn't there, right?
No.
Okay.
Not when I got back, no.
Okay, and did I arrive sometime later?
Early that morning.
Early that morning. Do you remember about what time?
No. Okay. Before sunrise.
Before sunrise. And do you remember me saying anything to you after I got back?
No.
Don't remember anything. Did I have to wake you up to open the door?
No, I don't believe so. I don't remember.
Okay. You did have the only key, correct?
No, I didn't.
Well, you said Rory Wilson had a key.
Yes.
Okay, but Rory was, to your knowledge, was Rory Wilson, man, was he actually still in jail at that point?
Yes.
Okay, so he didn't, again, obviously his key would probably be there with him, correct?
I don't know.
Or again, would I have access to it? Most
I
likely.
don't know.
Actually, let me rephrase this. This is too much supposition.
Well, I can't say with certainty, so we certainly
Thank you.
aren't going to cover what has already been asked and answered, but thus far I can't say with certainty that's the case.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and get this a little bit better. Want to do that. Let's go here. Okay. Let's see what we got here as far as recaps. Okay. We've already covered the routes. We've already covered the knowledge. Okay. Again, could you do you happen to remember your phone number from that point in time?
I do not.
Okay. Again, did your lawyer again make you privy to any of the discovery concerning phone records?
No, not concerning phone records.
Okay. Now, in the video, we did see the detectives, and if I remember right, did you? I would imagine you saw with us the detectives discussing your phone calls with Rory Wilson.
Yes, I remember that.
Okay. And they discussed how your phone calls were right around the time of the crime, correct?
I don't remember what time the phone calls were, no.
Okay. You don't remember when we watched the video what times they were talking?
No.
Okay. Would it surprise you again? I think you said your answer. I'm trying to clarify here because my memory may be messed up. I think you said that you told the detectives. Did you tell the detectives something like we were just talking, or we're just just talking or something like that?
Again, I don't remember the conversation.
Okay, not even after the refresher we had.
No.
Okay. I don't know if we want to go and repeat the video, but I don't know. We may have to. Now, let me converse with the state, if you wouldn't mind, for just a second.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Oh, the state drives me nuts. Okay. Objection number 2 or sidebar number 2. There we go. I keep track. Okay, let me speed it up here.
Work, perhaps shelter,
Okay.
residence. These things take time.
I would understand that, and under normal circumstances, yes, that would probably be the case.
Normal
What I'm asking you is
circumstances.
under the stressful circumstances that you were in, does 5 days seem like a long time?
This has already been, we've already gone over this multiple
Okay.
times. I'm going to sustain
Okay.
the objection.
Again, how many conversations did you have with Roy Wilson after the crime?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Do you remember any? You don't remember talking to him at all?
No.
And, let's see. You did, you said you didn't see Roy Wilson after that, though, correct?
Okay. What?
You didn't see Roy Wilson after the crime.
Yes, I did. I
Oh, I'm
walked with
sorry.
him back from Tom Thumb.
Walked back with him from Tom Thumb, spent the night with him there, correct?
Yes. The next few nights
Partying.
until the raid happened.
A
Yes.
second, partying, correct?
For one night. Yes.
Okay, and does that seem like the actions of somebody who's scared?
Do you understand what the actions of somebody who's scared are?
You have to just answer
I would like an
no,
answer.
not with a question.
I
So-
don't know how to answer your question. Yes.
That's
No.
all you need
Yes.
to- All you need
Yes.
to say, if you don't understand the question, you don't know how to answer it,
Well,
just say that.
I'm just
Yes,
trying to
Yeah, we
understand.
know, so let's just go on with between the two of you, question and answer. That's
I'm
what
trying.
we want.
I would like to understand, Mr. Johnson, why, if you were afraid enough that you took off and, left the crime scene the way you did, that you would sit there and party with these people when you got back.
Yeah, I'm going to sustain the objection.
All right, so we established that, the very first, the crime afterwards.
I'll overrule that, but
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Johnson, okay, after the partying of that night, again, did you see Mr. Wilson after that?
I saw him up until he was arrested at the raid.
Okay, you saw him up until,
Periodically, like coming and going. Yes. As well
Okay.
as you.
did you have any conversations with Mr. Wilson?
In passing, I don't remember specific conversations. No, but I'm sure that we spoke.
And you said that he held on to some of your belongings for you while you were in jail. Is that correct?
I said that he said that.
Okay. And did he in fact hold on to some of your belongings while you were in jail?
If you want to call it that, yes.
Okay. And I don't know. What would you call it, Mr. Johnson?
Theft.
Okay. So you're saying he stole from you while you were in jail?
That was my belief. Yes.
Okay. And again, did you inform the police that he stole anything from you?
This is what I informed them that could have happened. I don't know if it was him or not.
Okay.
The investigators are the ones who were determining that. This
Okay.
was the only information that I could give them, is what I believed from what he told me and where my belongings were. This is what I told them.
And you told this to the police when you filed your report for robbery, not
That
after,
day.
not after
The day it happened with the individuals, the officers that came. when I called the police. That's
And-
who I told this to.
And you told them that Rory Wilson stole from you.
I told them I believed that the individual on the steps stole from me.
Did they question Rory Wilson?
I'll overrule the objection.
Thank you. Did they question Mr. Wilson at all?
No.
Okay, they didn't question. And did you in fact ever get any of your items back from that?
No. Not the ones I reported stolen, no.
Okay, but that was the guys they used when they brought you down to the station, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but you didn't get any items back?
No.
Okay. And you said, again, that you emptied your truck. Okay, when they went to search your truck, if you emptied it, why would there be items still left in there?
When my truck was searched by the police, this was months after I had been arrested. Months after I had been arrested. My truck had been towed from said residence and packed by whoever didn't want my stuff in their home anymore into my truck to have it towed to Mr. Martin Ochoa's residence. That's where the search was conducted, not at the time or point of my initial contact with police.
So to be clear, just to be clear here, your truck got towed from the residence you were at to Mr. Martin Ochoa's home. Is it a home or is it his business or something?
His home.
His home. Okay, so it got towed to his home with your belongings in it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you said this happened, the search happened months afterwards.
Yes.
Okay. Now, did anybody else, to your knowledge, have access to your truck at that time?
Everybody that possibly wasn't me. I was in jail.
Okay. When the tow truck actually took it, did you have the keys, sir?
The keys were in my property. I did not have them, no.
You didn't have access to the keys?
No.
Okay, so that would mean the police had access to the keys or somebody else.
They were in my property.
Okay. And we did have the privilege of talking to former Detective Malone, who conducted the search on your truck. I think she described it as a lot. Does that sound correct to you?
A what?
A lot. You said it was Mr. Ochoa's home. She described it as a lot. Was it a lot?
I don't know. I've never been to his home.
Okay. And did you ever find out what happened to your truck after the police searched it?
It was repossessed by the bank.
It was repossessed by the bank. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so you have no idea what happened to it after that.
Correct.
Now, again, amongst your belongings that they brought out in the search was, I believe, an extensive knife collection, if you want to call it that.
Yes, it was.
Extensive. And if I seem to remember correctly, you like to take care of your knives. Is that correct?
I'm a blade collector, of course, yes.
You're a blade collector.
Yes.
Okay, and do you like to sharpen your knives and oil your knives and such things? And again, I'm not a very knowledgeable person in this thing, but I seem to remember that was something you liked. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And would it surprise you to know that the residue from those things can be detected? The oils, the stone.
The stone.
And when you sharpen the blade.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. Well, again, now you said that the knife that has been used in this crime, you said that belonged to me, correct?
No, I did not.
I seem to remember you. Who did it belong to then?
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
No.
Okay. I'll save that one for redirect. And again, with the knife, you seem to have great detail when describing it in your interviews. How familiar were you with that knife?
Familiar enough to think that it was a dive knife.
To think that it was a dive knife. Did you know the color? Did you know the handle? Did you know the blade?
Yes.
Okay, all of those things.
Yes.
Okay, and again, how many times have you been in contact with that knife prior?
Once.
Once?
Yes.
And how long a period of time were you?
Don't recall.
Wait. let him finish the question.
How long a period of time were you in contact with this knife?
I don't recall.
You don't recall, but enough to know the details of it, correct?
Sure. I'm interested in knives. I try to remember them.
Okay. So, but it doesn't take very long.
No,
A cursory glance, maybe.
it depends.
Okay. Let me go ahead and we're going to go ahead and, subject to the witness to recall, I'll go ahead and let, we can end this and go for redirect, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, when you say subject to recall, you're talking about in your case? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yes, sir.
Mhm. Well, I guess the cross-examination is concluded.
It's concluded.
So, state would like redirect examination?
Yes, sure. Yes. Judge, before I get started, I do want to move into evidence the video that the jury watched during the cross-examination. I have it marked here. So much better. Okay, I have it marked as P as in Papa. I'd seek to move this into evidence.
I take it there's no objection?
No, sir.
All right, admit as the state's next in order, number, what is it? 13. I thought we already had 13. I thought we were up to 15. All right, admit it states 15.
All right, Travis states 15 is in evidence. Just put that in, please. I'll be referring to some portions of the jury's recorrect, Judge. That's why I want to make sure it's queued up. All right, Travis. A couple things I want to clear up here.
Yes, sir.
You said, way back in the beginning, you said you came to Key West, you actually advertised, was it on Facebook?
Yes,
And you advertised for what?
for a position as a painter.
Okay, and did you receive calls through that advertisement?
I did.
All right, can you say for sure whether you did or did not receive a call from this defendant during that early time in Key West?
I cannot say no.
Is it possible you received a call from him not knowing who he was or not knowing what your future with him would entail?
Possible.
Okay. So the first time you remember meeting him is when?
When I got out of jail.
And you were living at the warehouse?
Yes,
And when you first met him, where was he?
at the warehouse.
Was he with anyone at the time?
I was with Detroit Wilson, Rory Detroit Wilson.
And that's the other one that's involved in this plan this night of this
Correct.
robbery. Now, Travis, you agreed to get involved in this, I guess, this plan, and your expectation was to what? What did you expect to get out of it?
Gas money for my truck.
And at that point in time, are you familiar with the legal concept of the principal theory?
At this time, no.
Did you know that you could potentially be held liable for anything that happened inside of that treehouse, even though you were only the getaway driver?
No, sir, I did not.
Now, the plan, to be clear, was to go in there to commit a robbery. Is that right?
Correct.
And again, what was the goal in going into that treehouse that was discussed between you, this defendant, and Rory Wilson?
To get the money in the crack that the resident had.
And again, that lead came from somebody at the Burger King. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, you said several times that lead was brought back from BurgerKing by Rory Wilson, right?
Correct.
And then at one point, I think on one of the tapes, you said something about Tyrone. Is that right?
Correct.
Was that a misspeak on your part?
Yes, it was.
As you sit here today, do you remember who brought the lead back to the
Yes, I do.
to the warehouse?
I do.
And who was that?
That was Rory Wilson.
All right. He brought the lead back, and who did he share that lead with?
Mainly with Mr. Tucker.
And at
And
some,
me.
and you.
Yes, I was in the room.
Okay. And at some point, you got involved in the plan to go over there.
Yes, I did.
Now, there seems to be a little confusion on the cross about how many trips over to the treehouse were made prior to the actual robbery. So let's be clear. You had testified that you guys went over there and did, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, a drive-by. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And after the drive-by, were there people or cars at the treehouse at the time?
Yes.
And you guys went back to the warehouse?
Yes.
And when you went back to the warehouse, what was the purpose in going back to the warehouse?
For clothing.
And about how many minutes later, if you can estimate, did you guys head back over to commit the actual lick?
I feel like about 5 to 15 minutes. I'm not 100% sure of the timeline.
Okay. Now, okay, good. I retrieved item number 7, it's in evidence from the clerk. Chris, let's go into the electric one, or let's go into the other one first, the Cosme. David, if you could help me.
Which video is that?
All right, Chris, let's go to 1943. Travis, it's coming up here, 1943 and 22 seconds. Perfect. Okay, right there. Is that consistent with your truck pulling over to the treehouse?
Yes, sir.
All right. And is that consistent with what happened on the day, November 17th of 2017?
Yes, sir.
Now, on this is your initial approach. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Did you guys stop or did you continue going after that initial approach?
I continued going
And again, if you can refresh the jury, why did you do that?
because there was somebody there.
All right.
Or is this is the first one? No, this was the initial drive-by.
Not the initial, right?
This is the one before I stopped and they got out.
Okay. So after leaving the warehouse, when they were dressed in black and with weapons, this is your first approach after you left the warehouse?
Yes, correct.
Now, if you look to the right of this boat, between these two boats, back in this area, we see your truck go all the way through. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, there's some talk here. There's a glare there, right, on the front of this boat?
Yes, correct.
Do we know where that glare is coming from?
No, sir, we do not.
It's obviously not your headlights, right?
Obviously,
I mean, where's your truck at this point?
not there.
Is there a glare coming from this window?
That's a light
A light?
on. Yes, that's a street lamp at the CVS.
Okay. But the glare that we're seeing there, is it fair to say that's not coming from your truck?
Yes, this is fair to say.
Because your truck at this point is where?
Not there.
Okay, not there. Where is your truck? Tell the jury where your truck is right now.
Driving around the block.
All right, fair enough. Okay, Chris, if we can go to, actually, just let it. According to my time code, it's gonna be 1945. Chris, if we can just advance 1945, that'll.
Your Honor, may I move up a little bit closer so I can see here?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Travis, I'm going to again have you focus your attention to the left of that big boat to the middle of the frame.
Yes.
Awesome. Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
My truck.
Okay, now it's a minute and a half, 2 minutes later, right?
Correct.
Minute and a half later?
Correct.
All right, would this be consistent with you reapproaching the treehouse after the first drive-by?
Correct. Yes.
Chris, can you just play for me? Now focus your attention over here. Keep going. Pause. Can you tell for sure where your truck is at this point?
100% no.
Now, there's a couple different glares going on here, right?
Yes.
Chris, if you can back up for just 3 seconds. Okay, number 1945. Is that you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's what we just saw? Go ahead, Chris. Focus over here, Travis, if you would. We can see a flash from your headlights as it approaches. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
But do we know where the truck is stopped at this point?
No, sir.
Kind of hard to see in this video.
Yes, sir.
Now, we still see a light going on here, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that coming from your headlights?
Probably not, sir.
Now, your testimony is that this defendant and Wilson got out of your truck, right?
Correct, sir.
Is that consistent with what we see there?
Yes, sir.
All right. And that's at what time now? 1945 and 47. And Chris, will you take us to 1951, please? Travis, if you look over here, do you still see a light over here?
Yes, I still see a glare.
Where's your truck at this point?
It's still sitting right there.
Is it in, can you see this frame or not?
No, sir.
Now, we just saw somebody run up the hill. That's, we said before, that's what went, correct?
Correct.
Right there. And again, who do we see running there dressed in black?
That is Mr. Tucker.
The defendant.
Yes, correct.
And you didn't see Wilson leave?
No, sir, I did not.
Now, Chris, no, this move, let's go back to the front. Chris, that's the one, right, perfect. And I'm going to bring your attention to some times here in a minute. Now, all right, Travis, so we've covered the videos from the night of the event. I want to go to what was going on with you after they brought you down to the station under the guise of looking for your items from your truck.
Yes, sir.
Now, you got to the station that night, right?
Yes, sir.
Initially, when they switched the script on you and they started asking you questions about what happened at the treehouse, were you surprised by that?
Yes, sir, I was.
Did it catch you off guard?
Yes, sir, it did.
And initially, during your conversation with them, did you come clean right away and give them,
No, sir, I didn't.
own up to what you had done?
No, sir, I didn't.
What were you doing?
I was backpedaling. I was scared. I was processing in my mind what avenue I wanted to take.
And so, as they asked you questions, were you being 100% truthful with their answers?
No, sir, I wasn't.
Were you trying to mislead them or diffuse them?
A little bit, yes.
Were you worried about minimizing your involvement in this crime?
Yes, sir, I was.
Again, at this point, were you familiar with the principal theory?
No, sir, I wasn't.
Were you familiar with the idea that you could be held accountable for everything that happened, even though you were in the truck that night?
No, sir, I was not.
As they questioned you, did they start to confront you with more and more evidence that they had in the case?
Yes, sir, they did.
Now, you specifically testified that Phelps put it together, right?
Yes.
She's the detective or the lead that was in there?
She was the captain, yes.
The captain, okay. And you said on, I believe it was on direct and on cross yesterday, she nailed it 100%.
Very smart detective, yes.
When she went through the events with you, were you surprised at how close she was to the truth?
Yes, sir, I was.
And as she talked to you, and we saw it in the video yesterday, did she present you with her theory of what happened?
She did.
Okay. Now, let's go, Chris, if we could, to 2019, please. It said 2019. I'm not sure which one it's going to come up on. Maybe that one. Okay, we got to go to 20 and 2019 minutes. And do you want some water? Okay, Chris, go ahead and stop. And pause, Chris. Now, we're at the point of the interview where you were talking more clearly with Captain Phelps. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Are we at the point where you have decided time to come clean?
Yes.
What brought you to that decision, Travis?
Actualization of the fact that somebody was dead and I was responsible, and that that I wanted to make sure that this was resolved.
Now, at that point, you decided time to own up to it?
Yes, sir.
And is that what we saw in the video yesterday where you got very upset? I think you had a moment where you really got overwhelmed?
Yes.
Why is that?
Actuality, reality slapping me in the face.
The reality is that you were involved in an event that turned into a homicide.
Correct.
Scary stuff, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're talking to Captain Phelps, and she's asking you about the knife, right?
Yes.
Did she tell you what the knife looked like?
No.
Did you tell her what the knife looked like? I mean, they knew a knife was involved, right?
Yes.
The guy had been stabbed to death, right?
Yes.
So when she asked you about the knife, did you describe the knife?
I did.
And how did you describe it?
I described it the way it looked, the way it is.
Red, black and red.
Black and red with a serrated edge. Yeah, black and red with a serrated edge and a smooth edge on one side and a silver pommel on the bottom.
Had you seen that knife before?
Yes,
How many times did you see it?
once or twice.
Where did you see it on the night of the treehouse stabbing?
And I saw it in the house and then I saw it in Tucker's hands.
Tucker's hands.
Yes,
You guys sit right there.
yes,
It's in his hands when he came out of the house.
yes,
Dressed in black?
yes.
You come to Captain Phelps. Now, when Captain Phelps was asking you about details about the knife, did she show you the knife?
No.
Right? You told her what color was the handle,
Black and red.
all right? What about the blade? Did you tell her about the blade?
Yes, I did.
What'd you say?
Serrated on one side and sharp on the other, smooth on the other.
Serrated on one side, sharp on the other. Throughout your interview with Captain Phelps, what did she tell you she wanted from you?
The truth,
What?
the truth.
The truth, right?
Yes,
She say it more than once?
yes.
Matter of fact, at one point, doesn't she say to you, tell us what happened, and your response to her is what? You just said it,
Yes,
right?
yes.
When you said you just said it, what were you meaning when you said that?
I was meaning that she knew the truth. She had, through her theory, for lack of better words, nailed it. And
And
she
what was
just
her-
said it.
Did you recall what her response was when you said you just said it?
She said she needed to hear it in my words.
She wanted to hear it in your words, right?
Yes,
You tell her what happened. And then you went and you started telling her exactly what happened. Is that fair?
yes,
At 2020, Chris? Yes, please. And I'm going to let it play for a couple of minutes because then there's a couple things within the next 2 minutes I want to talk about, okay? Pause, Chris. She asked you if you knew who stabbed the guy, right?
yes,
And she asked you if you had to guess, which one would you say?
yes.
And what was your answer?
I didn't know well enough to develop a guess. I didn't know either one of them well enough to know who would done it.
Did she give you the name of Tyrone Tucker, or did you offer the name?
I offered the name because she said that I knew who did it. And I think I offered it in the form of a question.
So you offered the name of Tyrone Tucker, not Penny Phelps.
Correct.
You're the one that brought that name into this narrative. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Not Penny Phelps.
Correct.
So when the defendant says this was her narrative that you simply endorsed, that's not accurate, is it?
No, sir, it's not.
Go ahead, Chris, play. Chris, why is the video not? Okay, the video is not buffering, I'm told. It's the same as the audio, but the audio is what's important to me at this point. The jury's going to be able to look at this. It's in evidence. So let's just go with the audio. Chris,
Your
go to.
Honor, can we sidebar for a second? Yes.
Okay. And if you remember, right, Grandma, remember we watched his first interview and they said, who do you think did it or something? Or no, she said to him, it was Ty. and he acted all shocked in his face. Do you remember that? Ty? I can't believe it. I don't know. You're both lying.
Something definitely is strange going on here.
Yeah. Can you
I
imagine?
mean, did you see how upset he got when he was questioning him? But now the prosecutor's questioning him. He's saying yes, sir, and
I know.
you know what I mean. He never treated the other guy with that kind of respect.
Well, it's kind of
He
funny.
was getting mad.
Yeah. He got all those years in prison, and then he got off early because he's testifying right now.
Chris, if you go ahead and hit play then.
Poor guy. Is it coming back on?
Their audio is horrible in this courtroom.
Chris, can you turn it up at all? Okay. Next piece.
Excuse me, you building up to a question here or just?
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
All right, Chris, go ahead and pause. I was hoping to get to the part, Travis, but let's just talk about it. At one point, you offered to draw a map. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And what was that map? What were you requested to draw? Or what did you request to draw when you wanted to draw a map?
The route.
And did Captain Phelps tell you what route you took?
No.
Did you tell her what route you took?
Yes.
Matter of fact, at some point, she says something on the map and you correct her, don't you?
Yes.
She's pointing in the wrong direction and you actually corrected her as to which direction your truck was going.
Yes, sir. I believe that was
All right. At that point, is this your narrative or her narrative?
mine.
Yours, right?
Yes.
You gave a detailed description about the planning of the robbery, correct?
Yes.
Did they know about the details in the plan?
No, sir.
Where'd those details come from?
That came from me.
What about the details in Rory Wilson's mask? Is that something they provided to you?
No, sir.
Where'd that information come from?
That came from me.
What about the gaiter that this defendant was wearing? Did she provide
Objection,
you with
Your
that
Honor.
information?
I'm
No.
sorry, what's the objection?
If there's been established those wearing anything.
Well, I disagree. It might be a point of contention, but it's a legally cognizable question, so I'll overrule the objection.
Let me ask it again, Travis. So the gaiter that this defendant was wearing, did Phelps give you details on that?
No, sir.
Where'd that information come from?
Came from me.
Now, describe the defendant. He looked different back then, 6 years ago. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Tell the jury about how he looked. Do you have a bigger goatee, smaller goatee?
He had a goatee about this long. Straight down.
Long.
Long.
All right. Did he have a full set of teeth?
No.
And the gaiter that he pulled up, does that cover his goatee?
Yes. Yes. I apologize.
The knife you gave the details on, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Now, the money that you got, you said it smelled like perfume.
Yes.
Is that something that they told you, or is that something you gave to them?
Something I gave to them.
The defendant brought up the scenario about April Walker. Again, who was April Walker?
Rory Wilson's girlfriend.
Rory Wilson's girlfriend. Was she living at the warehouse as well?
Yes.
The defendant asked you about these threats and the timing of these threats. Do you remember on cross?
Yes.
When you left for Big Pine, was April still in that warehouse?
Yes.
And you said to the defendant when he asked you, she didn't appear to be nervous or scared, right?
No, sir.
I believe that's what you testified to on cross.
Yes.
Now, you were up in Big Pine for at least a day, then they brought you down to the station, right?
Yes.
In that tape, when we see Captain Phelps come into the room and tell you that April Walker's nervous and scared, is that before or after you left the warehouse that morning?
After.
After, right?
Correct.
So when you left the warehouse, had April Walker received those threats?
Not as far as I know, no.
When Captain Phelps came in the room, what did she say?
She said that April had received threats.
Had just received threats.
Just.
Defendant also asked you about whether you saw blood on him or on Wilson that night, right?
Correct.
What color clothing were they wearing?
Dark. Black.
Is it easy to see blood on dark black clothing?
No, sir, it's not.
Were you looking for blood on them that night?
No, sir, I wasn't.
Had you suspected that somebody had been stabbed to death inside the treehouse?
No, sir, I hadn't.
So when you walked with Wilson back from that CVS, or I'm sorry, I apologize. When you walked with Wilson back from Tom Thumb, were you looking at him, his body to see if there was blood on it?
No, sir.
When you and this defendant were in the warehouse right afterwards, and this defendant was mad at you for having left him, were you looking at his body for blood?
No, sir, I was not.
Again, what color clothing was this defendant wearing?
Black.
After you left, that place in Big Pine, you said your truck was empty when you left, right?
Correct.
And you unpacked the stuff into the house, right?
Correct.
Then the police came and looked at your truck, right?
Correct.
And then they invited you to come down to the station and look at this other stuff they had, right?
Correct.
Did you ever see your truck again after that morning or that day?
No, sir.
So when you left Big Pine, you never saw that truck again?
No, sir, I didn't.
When you left Big Pine, was the truck empty?
Absolutely empty.
So how did you find out that somebody had taken all your stuff out of the house and put it back in the truck?
When I received the search warrant affidavit.
Were you surprised to find that all that stuff was in your truck, or did you figure that's what was going to happen with your stuff?
I figured it was, I really didn't know, but yes, I was surprised to know that it all had been piled into the bed of my truck.
Now, you are a knife collector, right?
I am.
You had a pretty extensive set of knives. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And were those knives back in that truck again after they cleaned out the house that you were staying at,
Yes.
or that you were going to stay at, right?
Yes. Yes, the knives were in my possession when I went to that house, correct?
Okay. Now, when you finally decided to own up to your involvement, that's when you I guess, came clean with the detectives, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you do that before or after they showed you the videos from the electric company and from the Cosme Marina?
Before.
So those videos that this jury has seen, you were not shown those until after you gave them your statement. Is that accurate?
Correct.
It's been 6 years. Can you still, in your memory, clearly see this defendant running from the court, the treehouse that day?
I can.
The defendant asked you today, you wanted to get out of there quick, right? You were scared. You wanted nothing to do with this, right?
Correct.
But you still wanted to get high, right?
Of course, that's the insanity of addiction.
So you weren't about to leave until all the drugs had been smoked at the very least, right?
Correct.
Let's talk about these deals. You came in and you gave statements, right?
Yes.
And we just went through the one that you gave to the detectives back in 2017. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
We played that pretty much in its entirety yesterday, right?
Correct.
Now, in April of 2022, you were approached again about potentially becoming or potentially entering into cooperation with the state.
Correct.
And before we talked about any deal, did you in fact give another sworn statement?
I did.
And that was prior to any deal being made. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Judge, at this time, the state is going to move into evidence what has been marked as P as in Papa.
Objection.
Well,
It's already marked.
he has been admitted into evidence.
Oh, and then it's, oh.
We said yesterday, Grandma, that was, he shouldn't have brought this evidence in.
Right now, set the stage or let the state set the stage.
The full
What we're
records?
doing, and then-
Yes, not this. And he talked without an attorney, without a problem.
Do we have an exhibit that's marked?
Yes, Judge.
What
it's
is
marked
the-
O as in Oscar,
What are you doing with it?
seeking to move it into evidence.
Okay, is there an objection?
Yes.
Okay, so now we'll approach the bench.
I cannot wait for the DNA part. So, Grandma, you think he was, but they haven't proven reasonable doubt for sure. And Miss Barbara, you keep going back and forth. I'm just, on the fence.
Oh, I believe it was probably one of his knives. He knows what happened.
Oh, I thought you meant Ty did it.
Oh no, I don't think he had anything to do with it, but I go back and forth on what to believe that guy with the knives says. He's just everywhere.
When this whole
Right.
business about the defendant wanting to play the.
I believe it sounds like to me that
interrogation
cop that interviewed him told him what to say.
Oh, yes, she did.
I don't want to say warned.
I've
about,
heard that
but
before.
Acknowledged that the door may be open.
She's got a
Yes, sir.
horrible
Yes,
record.
sir.
That's why she's,
Excuse
I
me?
don't think she's a cop no more.
Okay, so now the question is this within that rule? So what's the rule?
Judge, it's 90.801, parentheses 2, subsection B.
What subsection?
I'm sorry, Judge, subsection 2B.
statement is not hearsay if the declarant testifies at the trial or hearing and is subject to cross-examination concerning the statement. And the statement is, subsection B, consistent with the declarant's testimony. It is offered to rebut an express or implied charge against the declarant of improper influence, motive, or recent fabrication. I don't think this is recent fabrication, because I recent fabrication would mean that somehow or other he's being alleged to have, in the very close to his testimony, fabricated, and then the advocate for that witness says, no, here's something that he said months ago that shows that this isn't recent fabrication. So it seems to me it's improper influence, that the Penny Phelps interview was played by the defendant to say that Penny Phelps fed you this narrative, to use the term that's been employed here, and you basically said, yeah, that's it. And it was her idea, not his idea. So, just the timing that I'm wondering about here. So the timing was the Phelps interview was in, when did we say? In
2017, Judge.
The testimony here is in 2024, and the statement that you want to admit is in 2022. So could you just explain the argument again, Mr. Mansfield?
Right, Judge. So now that he has attacked the veracity of his statement as having been coerced by Penny Phelps, well, he gave another statement almost 5 years later, and it's consistent with the testimony he gave this jury on direct examination. So again, if it was the Penny Phelps story, well, 5 years later, he gave a consistent version of those facts, identical to what he testified to this jury today.
Well, yeah,
sorry,
because he's
during the
got
trial.
paperwork, documents.
And so anything further from the,
He had time.
Yeah, he's been doing his studying.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Allegedly.
Why would that be any different in that statement?
not the inconsistencies, I believe the whole implication that the defense is wanting to say is it's basically the whole thing is a lie, that it's Penny Phelps' version of events that Johnson has just adopted as his own in so many words, and he's fine-tuned it a bit. But,
Yes.
Your Honor,
yes,
if
sir.
I may, the statements that he made, again, Penny Phelps' time, yes, we do believe that they were fed to him.
Yes,
However,
I agree.
he's had 6 years now to fine tune those statements.
Damn right.
So, again, even all yes, he was there. He can draw a map. Yes, he's there. He could do all that. He could do everything that the state's saying. That's true because he was there. That's very simple. And yes, because he was there, he can give all that information and probably keep it accurate. Part of this problem is that Penny Phelps gives him the one key that he needed to get that deal.
Right.
On the getaway driver.
I'm no attorney.
He keeps arguing the very nature of why he keeps arguing that Penny Phelps unduly influenced this defendant.
She did.
And the rule allows for me to play a prior consistent statement that corroborates his version because the defendant has attacked it as being unduly influenced.
Your Honor, if I may one.
It's true.
Yes, sir.
okay, this prior inconsistent statement, I mean, that would make sense if he had actually given that consistent statement prior to Penny Phelps. I'm sorry, prior, consistent statement prior to Penny Phelps, then it would make sense.
Penny has gotten in trouble in the past for not giving evidence. Oh, yeah. She's not a good detective. She's got a track record. Which I'm going to get into at a later time. We're going to go through her record.
Yeah, we know people like that. That's what a lot of people do.
All right. Yep. Although I am not an attorney.
Judge Jones?
Yeah, you are.
In an abundance of caution, because I don't want to create an appellate issue. I'm
The
not gonna move
YouTube
it in.
one,
I'm not gonna seek to
yes!
move it in.
I think that's a wise choice. And it's because one way or the other, it's a close call. I mean, one way or the other, it's a close call.
I truly believe this is the kind of trial that you get one shot at, so I don't want to create that issue.
Fine. May I ask, just, do you have a witness standing by?
Yes, sir, we do. Two of them.
I'd like to do recross, Your Honor.
Well, I don't think that's gonna happen, Mr. Tucker. You've had more than ample opportunity to cross-examine to everything multiple times, so we're not gonna be having any recross, sir.
Okay.
That's not the norm to begin with. I made an exception, but anyway, I won't repeat myself.
Judge, I just have a brief follow-up and I'm done with this witness and we'll move on to, no, what time?
All right, bring in the jury, please.
Mr. Mansfield, who did you call? Mr. Mansfield,
I'm sorry?
was it the Emmy or the Angela?
Whoever's sitting out there. One of the
One of the two, okay.
Okay, the clerk is concerned if there's some exhibit that's in the machine that she doesn't have. She's very mindful of keeping track of everything, which is definitely desirable.
See, I wish he had an attorney on standby next to him. I've never heard him hardly ever object to anything and writing up motions ahead of time.
Well, and the prosecutor's got someone there with him. He should have somebody to help him.
Thank you for your patience.
Right.
We've handled our business and back to the redirect of the defendant.
Thank you,
the
Judge.
witness, excuse me.
I'm sorry, sir. So picking back up, Mr. Johnson, so just to confirm, when you were approached in April of 22 about working with the state, you gave another sworn statement,
Correct.
and then you testified to the jury today.
Correct.
Were you consistent with that statement?
Yes.
Just 1 second, Judge. Judge, at this time, I have no further questions for this witness. Thank you, sir.
1 second. We're going to need to approach the bench here.
And just so you know, today was only a 3-hour day for this, so.
Sir, if you please step forward through the gate right there.
How late was he?
No, it was, they were supposed to be there today at 1.
Right in front of the
Judge had to do something else.
I feel bad for this guy.
Right there. Face this lady, raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in the cause now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Okay, thank you. Have a seat on the witness stand, please. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. Judge, may I proceed?
Yes.
Dr. Steckbar, you all set up? Okay. I am. All right, good. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Dr. Steckbar, could you state your name for the jury?
Absolutely. I am Dr. Michael Robert Steckbauer.
And how are you employed?
I am the current District 16 medical examiner.
Did I mispronounce your name just now? Okay, good. Dr. Steckbauer, you are employed as our medical examiner,
I am.
and how long have you been doing that work down here in Monroe County?
About 6.5 years.
Okay. This is the part where I ask you to take the jury back a little bit about the progression of your career to get you to where you're at today.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So that long odyssey started many years back. I went to undergraduate. Well, actually, that's not really true. Initially, out of high school, I went into the military. Did an active duty stint in the Army for 6 years as a veterinary technician, of all things. Thought I wanted to go to veterinary school, clearly wanted to go to medical school. So then I went off to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and finished my bachelor's. I got a bachelor's in science with a minor in chemistry. Biology is the major, and minor was chemistry. I then went on to the University of Nevada School of Medicine to medical school, and I completed my medical degree. After that, I went off to my residency, which was in pathology, anatomic and clinical pathology. After completing that program at Ball Memorial Hospital in Muncie, Indiana, I did take what is called my anatomic pathology boards. This is essentially a test that one can take. You don't have to take it to practice, but if you take it, it shows that you have achieved a certain level of knowledge. So I did achieve board certification in anatomic pathology. I then attended my forensic pathology fellowship at the Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's Office. Upon completing that fellowship, I did also take my forensic boards and achieved board certification in forensic pathology. That entire time I was in the Army National Guard as well. I was a combat medic initially, and then later upon completion of medical school, I went to the Army's Flight Surgeons course and have been practicing with the Army National Guard as a flight surgeon since. When I graduated that fellowship, I went off to Duval County, Jacksonville as an associate medical examiner. I was there for about 2 years, and during which time I was deployed to Kosovo with the Army National Guard. I then went down to Broward County as an associate medical examiner in 2013. Was there for a number of years, ultimately becoming their director of medical education at one point, later becoming their deputy chief, and at the end of that being deployed to Kuwait and Iraq with the Army National Guard. After that, I then came down here and have been in this position since. During this time here, I also have a private practice. I do the forensic autopsies for the Royal Police in the Turks and Caicos Islands, almost all of their cases. I do the hardcore forensic cases for the Royal Police in Bermuda, as well as in the Cayman Islands, and do private autopsies. I think that covers everything.
Okay. So you mentioned the phrase forensic pathologist, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, let's tell the jury, what are the duties of a forensic pathologist?
Forensic pathology differs from general autopsy medicine, autopsy pathology, in that it specifically centers on medical legal death investigation. And really kind of to just be generally broad with that, it means we do autopsies that are legally mandated on things that would meet the classifications of manners of death of homicide, suicide, accident. So strange, we just don't know what it is, undetermined. Now, we do plenty of natural deaths as well in that work, but they're simply because there's no regular doctor to sign, or they don't know exactly what's going on, and so they're kind of questionable and they come to us. And so we do the background investigation into those cases. They come into the office. We do the autopsies on them, interpretation, follow-up interpretation of toxicology test results, and microscopic examination. Of course, we testify on those cases, such as I'm doing here today. We do education for law enforcement and fire, as well as a number of other people. We occasionally have medical students, residents, paramedic students rotating through the office. We do education with them. Occasionally, we do outreach to different organizations, do training as well.
Doctor, you talked about autopsies. About how many autopsies have you performed in your career?
Well, I quit counting a number of years back. I'm probably roughly about 5,000 at the current moment.
And how many down here in Monroe County? Can you even estimate, or is that a rough
Well,
number to get
we
to?
do about 150 a year here in this county, 6.5 years. So you can do the math on that. It's roughly about 900. But of course, as I said, during that time, I have continued to do the cases for the Royal Police in those different island nations. You add those on top of it, it's probably somewhere around roundabouts another 100 cases, including my private autopsies per year. And then I did, in fact, help out the chief medical examiner in Palm Beach for a number of years. I'm not really sure how many I did total for her, but if we say somewhere between an estimate of 250 to 300 per year.
Wow. Now, are you a member of any specific groups or specialized groups?
Yeah, most pathologists, and specifically forensic pathologists in the United States, will be members of the National Association of Medical Examiners. It's really our only major group. We do have another group, but they're very minor compared to NAME for membership. Almost all forensic pathologists in the state are members of NAME. And then I am a fellow of the American Society of Clinical Pathology as well.
Have you ever been published?
I have.
And when I say published, what are we talking about?
Most of the time when you're talking about published, you're talking about either case reviews or full clinical research.
And you have been published before?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you receive continuing education in your field, or is it you've already known it, so that's it?
No, there are no current residencies under the guidance of the American College of Graduate Medical Education that are allowed to not do continuing medical education. You have to. So I do continuing medical education. I do that both for my board certification as well as for my medical licensure. The state licensure board here in Florida requires 30 to 40 credits of CME per year. Some certain classes mandated, others you can do it in whatever area of medicine you'd like. And then the American Board of Pathology requires 70 credits themselves.
And do you have to do that to maintain your accreditation or your certificate to practice?
My certification.
Certification.
Now, there is, I guess, one other caveat to that. I was unluckily one of the last people in my year group period that still had to take a high stakes test at 10 years to renew my board certification. Thankfully, they got rid of that and they changed it in pattern, but I did actually about a year and I think that was a year and a half ago, I took a large exam, 10-year exam within my field to show, in fact, that I did still know what I knew and that I had kept up on it.
Now, are you board certified by the American Board of Pathology?
Yes, that is correct.
Is that above and beyond your regular certification, or is that the one we're talking about?
That is the one we're talking about.
All right, fair enough. Now, let's talk, you already explained to the jury an autopsy. You said an autopsy can determine cause and manner of death. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
So let's talk about the difference. When you say cause of death, what are you referring to?
The cause of death is that thing that led to the physiologic derangement in the body that was no longer compatible with life. The manner of death is a category that the cause of death fall within. I like to use the example of things like a firearm death. You can have a firearm death that with FL. Once we've done all of that, we move a single-edged weapon or potentially a weapon that has a serrated edge on the opposing side. And then it was described as having only gone down into the muscle and soft tissue about 2 inches. He also had another stab wound of his left upper arm.
You said that was in the upper arm, is that right?
That is correct. Left upper arm.
Left upper arm?
Yes.
Front, back, or side?
Specifically, that wound is 11.5 inches from the top of the head and 8 inches left of the midline. And so it is in the lateral aspect of that arm.
And would that wound have been fatal?
No, it would not.
And from the cut that was made on the body, I guess when inflicting that wound, can you give us any information on the knife that potentially was used based on that wound?
Well, again, as I stated a moment ago, it had a sharp edge that was at the 9 o'clock margin of the wound. And so that is indicative of a weapon that is not double-edged. Now, it doesn't mean that the weapon can't have a side that is serrated, but it does indicate that it is unlikely that it is a double-edged knife.
And that's for, as far as that wound, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, now there were other wounds, is that fair to say?
Absolutely. There was another stab wound within the left upper arm. It is also to the relative lateral, the outside aspect of the arm. It was T-shaped. It's a 4.3 by 1.5 centimeter stab wound. It was 14 inches from the top of the head and 11 and a half inches left of the midline. That stab wound went down about 3 3/4 inches into the muscle and soft tissue of the left upper arm. So that's a decent distance. You think about that, 3 3/4 inches is right about there.
And again, that's in the upper left arm, near the other wound?
Near, yes.
Okay, and that was in the arm, but that would have been fatal.
No.
Okay, on to the next.
The next wound is a stab wound of the mid-back. This wound specifically is a 3.2 by 0.5 centimeter stab wound. It is 18 and a half inches from the top of the head and 1 inch left of the midline. And again, it is in the left side of the mid-back. It's oriented from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock and reapproximates to 3.3 centimeters. These are just things we use when we describe the wounds. The path of the wound extends down into the posterior aspect, the back of the left side of the chest at the 10th and 11th ribs. It then goes into the thoracic cavity and it goes through the left side of the diaphragm. It does not injure any other major structures. There is a liter of liquid and clotted blood that's collected within the abdominal cavity that is associated with that wound. That wound specifically has a directionality that is from left to right, front to back, and downwards.
And that was, you said that was the first wound in the mid-back, is that right?
That is correct.
All right, and would that wound have been potentially fatal?
It could have been fatal if, in fact, no care was rendered. It did not injure any large major structures, but by going into the back and going through the diaphragm, it absolutely would have caused a pneumothorax, and no medical attention would have meant that he would have passed away.
Now, let's one, was there another wound in the back as well?
Absolutely. There are 2 combined wounds in the mid-back, and they are described exactly as that, 2 stab wounds in the mid-back that form a general L shape. And the first is given some description, same as these other wounds that we talked about, the measurements of it, 3.5 by 0.6 centimeter stab wound that is 14 and a half inches from the top of the head and 2 1/4 inches left of the midline. In the left side of the mid-back, it's oriented from 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock and reapproximates to 3.7 centimeters. The second wound that connects with this, making that L shape, is 2.8 by 0.5 centimeters. It's 15 inches from the top of the head and 2.5 inches left of the midline in the mid-back. It's oriented from 9 o'clock to 3:30 and reapproximates to 2.8 centimeters. So then in the report, what I did with this, because these wounds do what we call commingle, they combine, I described it as such. I said, please note that due to commingling of the wound tracks of these 2 stab wounds, they are described together. The path of the wound extends down. It enters the posterior aspect, the back of the left side of the thoracic cavity, the chest, at the 7th and 8th intercostal space. The wound tract, the injuries, injures the descending aorta at the level of the 9th thoracic vertebra, and the left lower lung lobe is also perforated. Associated with that wound is a liter of liquid and clotted blood in the left side of the thoracic cavity. And the path of that wound is from back to front, left to right, and downwards.
Now, you did say you photographed during the autopsy, is that correct?
I did.
All right, but have you already shown defense
Yes.
So far, yes. Let me look at the rest. Yes, I do recognize them.
Okay, and are those photographs consistent with the person that you performed the autopsy on?
Yes,
And some of them are actually from the autopsy, is that accurate?
yes, all but one are from the actual autopsy.
Judge, at this time, I seek to move into Quebec.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, state's exhibit Q for identification is now admitted into evidence as number 16. That's a composite exhibit. A through D.
All right, Dr. Stegmaier, so now that it's in evidence as state 16 composite, judged by a published to the jury.
Yes.
First, I'm going to show the jury the first photo, and that's Dr. Stegmaier, what do they see here?
This is a photo that law enforcement frequently sends us. We ask for something for an identifying image of the decedent when they first call us. If they have a driver's license, they send us a driver's license. If not, they will send us a copy of their screen, the computer screen. We always call it a David photo.
So does this help you in the identification process?
It does. It helps them in the identification process.
Now, let's talk about the wounds that you just testified to. I'm going to show them this one next, Dr. Stegmaier, just so you understand.
Mhm.
And then if you could tell the jury what they're going to see in this photograph, or these two photographs.
So what you're seeing in these two photographs is you're seeing one of our standard photographs of the lower half of the back of the decedent. But you're also seeing one of our other standard photographs of the upper half of the back of the decedent. And in that upper half, you can see that there are two injuries at the back. You don't see them as well because this is a general overall photo. Those photos are taken much closer as well.
Does the picture of the back kind of elucidate where those stab wounds were that you were testifying to?
It does.
And the one looks almost like a V or something. Is that the one that you talked about having combined,
Yes,
the combination of two stab wounds?
absolutely.
So, and then there's another one down here. Is that right?
Correct.
All right, so let's talk about this one here. This is going to be D in the composite,
Yes.
okay? If you want to narrate while I show the jury.
Sure. So this is exactly what I was talking about. We did, in fact, do a close-up photo of those injuries with what is called an L ruler. It's a legal ruler. But there's also another photo there. This is as the tissue has been reflected away. That photo is actually of the injury from one of the stab wounds of the arm. It's showing that it goes into the deltoid muscle.
That's this one over here.
Yes, that is correct.
So one's a real up close and personal look at the arm injury, and the other one is a closer look on the two back stabs.
Correct.
Am I saying that accurately?
Yes.
All right, and then we have one more. Dr. Stegmaier, were you ever provided with a weapon in this case to examine?
I was.
Here's what the jury's going to see.
So these
And I'm sorry, this is for the record, this is 16B.
These photographs, the top one is actually just a standard image we take. It is what we call a face shot. These are often used for identification by family members and others because they can be cleaned up on a computer surface. The bottom one is a picture of the knife that was presented to us at autopsy as potentially being the weapon that was used.
And what was the purpose of presenting you with the knife?
The primary reason that they presented me with the knife is that there is a laceration, abrasion, impression along the nose. that is quite consistent with the butt of that knife. They wanted to compare those two. We do, in fact, have an autopsy photograph where that knife is held adjacent to the decedent's nose, comparing the back of that knife to the impression along his nose.
Were you able to opine at all whether that knife would be consistent with the stab wounds that you discovered on Mr. Bonnet?
Yes, it is.
It is consistent.
It is.
Okay, and can you give the jury, like, how do you go about that examination of the knife to the wounds?
Whenever you're professionally trying to evaluate and say, could this be consistent with or not, you're looking at things like what we talked about earlier. Is the wound single-edged? Is it double-edged? Is the weapon single-edged? Is it double-edged? Things like this. If we have injuries that could have been caused by another part of the weapon, are there patterns to those injuries that would go along with some part of that weapon? In this case, of course, we do. And so when you evaluate those things together, it makes the instrument, the weapon, consistent with the injuries that you're seeing.
I'm going to show you what's in evidence now, states 14, and have you take a look. Do you recognize it?
Yes, it is the knife that was presented to me at the autopsy.
All right, and take a look at the blade of the knife. Is it at two different sides, or is it all consistent?
It does, in fact, have two different sides. One has a normal sharp edge, and the other has what we call a serrated edge.
Now, the stab wounds in the back, is it consistent? Are those injuries consistent with having been caused by this knife?
Yes,
And what about the ones in the arm?
yes.
And then you said the butt of the knife also caused a nose injury?
It is consistent with the injury on the nose.
Okay. Dr. Stecker, I'm going to show you what's already in evidence in state 6. Recognize the photo?
I do.
Is that Mr. Bonnet?
It is.
Now you see a nose injury there, right?
Yes,
Is that the nose injury you're talking about?
it is.
And you said it's consistent with having been caused by the butt of the knife?
It is. This photograph does not depict the pattern well. There is another photograph that depicts it much better.
Did you do a thank you. Did you do a toxicology on this person?
Yes, we did.
And when I say a toxicology, what exactly am I talking about?
It means that we did, in fact, obtain the specimens that we spoke about earlier. We did, in fact, obtain blood from the iliac vessel. We did obtain urine, bile, and vitreous fluid, and we did send those off to the University of Florida Toxicology Lab in Gainesville for testing.
And did you receive those results?
We did.
And what, if anything, did that test reveal as far as what was in Mr. Bonnet's system?
So the test revealed that his blood was, in fact, positive for ethanol, alcohol, at 140 milligrams per deciliter or 0.14 grams per deciliter. And they do that conversion because it helps people to understand it. When you say 0.14, you can compare that to your reference range of 0.08 being the legal limit for driving while intoxicated. And so it kind of gives you just a general reference, and that's why they do that. The blood was also positive for cocaine at 301 nanograms per milliliter. This is important because cocaine is one of the fastest metabolizing drugs in humans. Almost all parent cocaine will have been metabolized to its metabolites within about 15 to 25 minutes. So having parent cocaine is significant in that it means that that cocaine would usually have been taken within the last 15 to 25 minutes. Otherwise, we would only have metabolite. We also have coca-ethylene, which was positive at 421 nanograms per milliliter. This is important because it lets you know that there has been some metabolism time between the alcohol and the cocaine. Those two combine together and create the metabolite coca-ethylene. Benzolecgonine was also positive in the blood. That is the primary metabolite, active metabolite of cocaine. It was present at a level of 1,958 nanograms per milliliter. And then when we look at
Hold on, let me ask you a quick follow-up question. On the cocaine, were you able to, by the levels of these various breakdowns, I'm not going to try to pronounce them, but are you able to tell how recently he had used cocaine prior to his stabbing?
Right. So just to correct myself, it's 1,968 grams. Should have used my glasses, clearly. Just want to make sure I said not 1,958, 68. And yes, as I was describing earlier, we can say that at least the cocaine itself was used within roughly 15 to 25 minutes of his death, because again, we had parent cocaine in the blood.
And that's indicative from the cocaethylene?
From the
Is it-
cocaine itself,
Oh,
because
from the
again,
cocaine itself.
cocaine metabolizes relatively quickly. And so if you have parent cocaine in the blood, that means that cocaine was ingested or used within the last 15 to 25 minutes. The metabolites could in fact be due to the ingestion or use of the cocaine that we're seeing that's still in the blood, or they could be metabolites that are partially due to prior use as well. I cannot say that.
So the parent cocaine, the fact that it's in the system would give you that time estimate of the last 15 to 20 minutes because it metabolizes rather quickly.
Correct.
All right, let's go on to the presence of any cannabinoids.
Okay,
I
so
was going to offer you my
in-
glasses.
Yeah, might as well.
See that?
There are cannabinoids present in the urine as well. They're positive. It is important to understand that urine indicates past use. Urine does not indicate current use. Blood indicates current use. And there were no cannabinoids identified within the blood. They were only identified within the urine, which again means past use.
Past use not present at the time when he was stabbed.
Correct.
All right, so then anything else of evidentiary value from the toxicology report?
Well, it just depends on the questions that would be asked. The urine was also positive for ethanol at 185 milligrams per deciliter. And the vitreous humor, the fluid from the eyes, was positive at 140 milligrams per deciliter. Now, it is important to oftentimes we look at blood versus vitreous fluid for different drug levels to say whether they're still in the absorptive phase or metabolic phase. In this case, they're equal. Both were 140. So that means that he's kind of at a steady state. The
Of
urine-
alcohol consumption.
Of alcohol, correct. And the urine was also positive for those other metabolites in active parent cocaine that we talked about, the cocaethylene and the benzoyl 9.
Now, you had said, so in all, he had cocaine and alcohol in his system. Is that fair to say?
In their metabolites, correct.
And you had mentioned his hands had been bagged, right, for preservation.
Correct.
Did you submit fingernail clippings?
I
after your-
did, in fact, turn them over to law enforcement.
Okay.
Law enforcement then submits those fingernail clippings.
Did you
for
provide them
testing.
to law enforcement for further testing?
I did.
And did you also provide a DNA card for Mr. Bonnet for further testing?
I did.
Now, Dr. Steckbauer, when all was said and done, did you make any findings to a degree of medical certainty as to the cause of death here?
Yes, in this case, the cause of death was stated as multiple sharp force injuries and the manner of death as homicide.
Now, how are you able to determine it was multiple sharp force injuries and not cocaine overdose?
Well, again, the one injury, well, the two combined injuries that we spoke about,
The one that formed the V in the back?
right, they in fact did injure the aorta, and they in fact did cause a good amount of blood to collect within the thoracic cavity. That is not compatible with life. It also had the injury that went through the diaphragm and up into the thoracic cavity and the blood within the abdomen. Those are not compatible with life. Although any amount of cocaine can cause a person's death, clearly the sharp force injuries were much more, I don't want to say impressive, but
Dominant?
they would have a much greater effect.
So the fact that the stab wound in the back punctured or perforated the aorta, is that a fairly significant wound?
Yes, the aorta is the largest blood vessel in the body. It's under high pressure, which is why that blood collects within those cavities. The blood that would have been lost is, of course, probably even greater than that which we quantitated, because blood is going to have come out of those wounds. On top of that, you had emergency personnel who, in fact, were trying to save his life. They did a thoracotomy procedure in which they did open the chest in a way that we call a clamshell, which literally means they make a large incision, they open it up. They're trying to get access to repair those injuries emergently so that they can stabilize the person. And so some of the blood would have been lost then as well. So it's almost a certainty that he had lost more blood than what we're talking about in the report.
Now, did you issue a death certificate in Matthew Bonnet's name in this case?
I did.
And on the death certificate, do you put in the information about cause and manner of death?
I did.
Was there, Dr. Steckbar, I'm curious, was there any evidence on his body, Mr. Bonnet's body, of a struggle? Was there bruising on his arms or legs or knuckles, anything that would be evidence consistent with a struggle?
Well, he does have some additional injuries, and depending on how you would categorize those injuries, some of them could be indicative of a struggle. He had some bruising of the knees, if I remember correctly. For some reason. Oh, that's why. So specifically, he had a laceration with surrounding purple bruising of the bridge of the nose. We talked about that. He had a red abrasion, linear red abrasion of the bridge of the nose. He had an abrasion of the right cheek. He did have a healing wound of the right knee. Now, that's not indicative of an altercation at the current time because, of course, it's healing. But he did, in fact, have a purple-brown bruise of the right knee, which could be indicative of an altercation. He also had a brown bruise in the right foot, which could have been part of this altercation. He had a healing wound of the left knee. Again, it's healing, so it's old. He had a red abrasion of the left side of the upper aspect of the chest, which could have been a part of this altercation. He did also have a superficial red abrasion of the left upper extremity. Again, could have been a part of this altercation. And he had a laceration in the left upper extremity, which could have been a part of this altercation.
So many of those would be consistent with some kind of a struggle or a fight at the time of his stabbing.
Yes.
Judge, if I just may have 1 second.
Yes.
Nothing further for Dr. Steckbar. Sir, thank you for your time today.
Right. We're going to take a little break before we have cross-examination. We've been in session here for a couple hours, so bear with us. It's going to be a 15-minute break. Members of the jury, you don't have to stay in the jury room. It's follow the usual procedures. 3:21, that would put us to 3:20, 3:36. So see you back here. Continue the testimony. All right, our jurors have exited the courtroom. You can take a break also, Doctor. Just remember, we have the rule of sequestration of witnesses, so you're not to discuss your testimony with anyone during the break. Any other instructions? No? All right, we'll be back.
Kit, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just had to go get Nala.
Oh,
I put it in the chat. Okay. My dad just upset me. You want to know why he upset me?
why?
He has complained more about my car than me. He goes, it pisses me off. I go, Dad, I don't want to talk about it. How do you think I feel? He goes, how do you think I feel? I put money into that car. I go, yeah, I drive your ass around everywhere. But I said, please stop. He don't stop. I go, Dad, I'm traumatized from this. Don't you understand? I can be mad
Yeah,
about
I give you a couple days. It's like that old saying, too soon. It's too soon to talk about.
it is. And the thing about it is, what police department, what would you think if a cop called you seeing if you're okay? That was at the scene of the accident.
Oh, that's the wrong question to ask me anymore, Kit.
It was
Just
shocking.
saying.
I go, well, I'm pretty shaken up, and I don't know. He goes, is there anything I can do for you? I go, no. He goes, you have any questions? I go, no, I can't even think right now. He goes, well, I was just checking in on you. I'm like, oh, thank you. And then I'm like, how did he get my number? And then
And it's like, and why are you calling me? I mean, you get
I know.
suspicious of that stuff.
It's like, well, when I called 911, because I called 911, they weren't going to, so I did. Yeah. Okay, let me speed this up. I just want to get to the DNA, man.
This guy at first, he was slow.
I know. I should have.
And then it was like, once he got to really talking, I got interested in what he was saying.
Yeah. I want the DNA expert. I hate listening to autopsies. It gets sad.
Ugh.
Come on, Judge. There we go.
My lack of medical knowledge here.
No,
But
no
if you
stress.
found two different types of blood on the blade, what would that be indicative of?
It would indicate that there were two contributors,
Two contributors.
two people.
Okay, and which would mean that blade was probably used on both people, correct?
It would just mean that substance containing two people's DNA was on the knife or whatever object was
Right.
tested. It wouldn't necessarily mean that it was used on two people because, of course, you cast DNA simply from your palm. But of course, it could have been used on two people too. I don't
Right.
know.
I think I understand what you're saying here.
I'm
that-
sorry, Mr. Chogan, would you mind moving the
Yes,
podium
I
here
sure
a little
can.
bit? Because
I sure
I'm
can,
having
I'm
a
sorry.
hard time seeing the state's table, and I do need to be able to see everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, it wouldn't be 100% conclusive is what you're trying to say, I think.
Well, I wouldn't say that. The fact that you would get a profile, and I would leave that to an expert in DNA to talk about the likelihood that a given DNA profile belongs to a given individual. Statistically, I would definitely leave that alone. But I wouldn't say that having a profile on a weapon means that that person had to be involved in using the weapon or not using the weapon. I wouldn't testify that. I would simply state that if I was made aware of it, that their profile was found on the weapon.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers
think
the
you
question.
I think, again, layman here, I think you were talking about DNA transfer from other things too, it's possibility or, that kind of thing. Oh, yeah, let me try and rephrase. Like I said, I'm trying to key in on medical terms that I'm not exactly familiar with. Okay. Again, we're going back to the DNA or the blood of different people being found on the object, whatever the object would be. Would that be consistent with that object being, again, coming into contact with both of those people?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I think that's a better way. I should have said it. Now, again, That would mean it most likely would be contact though, not secondary contact like we were just talking, like I was just trying to describe secondary, like, okay,
I definitely wouldn't testify. It's okay. I wouldn't testify to that.
right,
The likelihood, I would definitely defer to an expert in
in DNA.
DNA.
good.
Absolutely.
Okay, and, but you didn't test the knife, correct?
I did not, no.
Okay. And again, I think let me check here because I don't think there's too much else we need to go into. Now, just to clarify, when we were discussing all the wound patterns and you know the paths that you were talking about, now that doesn't say, again, it doesn't tell you much about the assailant, does it? The type of assailant.
No, not at all.
Okay, so it can't tell you how big, how tall, how, you know, whether the right or left-handed, any of that.
No, it cannot.
So it doesn't tell you much about the assailant other than this is consistent, this weapon is consistent with the wounds.
Correct.
Okay. All right, and let's see. Oh, and I don't think you'll remember this. I don't know if you would remember, during the deposition, I don't know if you saw the other victim in the case, Miss Paula Belmont. They showed you laceration. They showed you a neck wound.
Well, I'll listen to the question, but
Oh. Let me try and get to a question that's a little bit quicker and easier here. Were you shown pictures of the victim, the other victim, Paula Belmont, when you were doing
I don't
the demo?
recollect.
I had a feeling a long time ago. Okay, and I'll tell you, there's not much else. I think we need to go in with you, Doctor. Thank you for your time. I think we've addressed everything that we need to, so we can be excused.
all right.
I'm done with my cross.
All right, thank you. Is there any redirect?
Yes, Dr. The knife that I showed you, the one with the red and black handle, the one that's in evidence,
Yes,
is that consistent with having inflicted the wounds in Matthew Bonnet's back?
it is.
Now, that knife has a serrated side and a straight edge or a smooth side, right?
A sharp edge and a serrated edge. Yes,
Sharp edge on one side, serrated edge on the other. And is that reflected in the wounds that you see in his back?
yes,
So I guess one side of that wound has a serrated pattern and the other side has a smooth cut?
well, the real primary thing is that you have a single sharp edge. Serrated wounds, serrated weapons can make specific patterned wounds. These wounds did not have a specific pattern that is directly associated with the serrated edge, just with not having two sharp edges.
Okay, so ultimately though, that knife that is in evidence, you said is consistent with having inflicted the wounds in Matthew Bonnet.
It is.
Okay. I don't have anything else for you, Dr. Stegmaier. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you, sir. You can step down and be excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You have all the exhibits here.
Thank you, sir.
Stay prepared to call their next witness.
Yes, Sean. State. We'll call Angela Ozlowski.
Maybe sidebar for just a second, Your Honor.
Excuse me?
Maybe sidebar for just a second.
Okay.
Samples from an outside laboratory. I would say it's at least been over 5,000 samples.
Okay. Over 5,000 samples?
Yes.
And how long have you been performing DNA testing?
So since November of
Okay, hold on.
2017,
We missed something.
2017, when I completed my,
So employed in that capacity.
since January of 2016.
What is your position with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
Okay.
Samples from an outside laboratory in which they know what results are expected from the samples that I'll be working. I work them as if they're regular casework samples. I will obtain results and report my results to them, and this will test my ability to do my job as well as the DNA analysis system.
Have you ever been qualified as an expert in DNA testing?
Yes, through the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
And have you previously testified in court as an expert in DNA testing?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
Approximately 25 times.
At this time, I would ask the court to recognize Ms. Ozlowski as an expert in the area of DNA testing and analysis.
Recognize the witness in that area of expertise.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Ozlowski, please explain in layman's terms as best you can, what is DNA?
So DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. It's the basic building block of all human beings. You get half of your DNA from your mother and half of your DNA from your father, and it's essentially what gives you your height, eye color, hair color. Muscles are cleaned with something called cavicide that will remove DNA. And then during each step of the process, something called controls are used. So I obtained buccal swabs from Franklin Tucker, buccal swabs from Rory Wilson, excuse me, buccal swabs from John Johnson. I also obtained a blood stain card from a Matthew Bonnet, as well as buccal swabs from a Paula Belmonte. And then I believe I also got buccal swabs represented as being from a Roger Fraggett.
And did you do the testing and compare those buccal swabs compared with other items of evidence that you were requested to do so in this case?
Yes, so for each of those samples, it went through that 4-step of the DNA analysis process, and I was able to get complete DNA results from all of those standards to represent individuals, and then comparisons were made to question samples in this case.
Now, talking about the results, what are possible results as a result of your testing? Is there things that, for instance, explain to the jury what is inconclusive to you?
So inconclusive, so when I'm doing a comparison to a DNA profile from a questioned item of evidence, in which I have results that are comparable or interpretable, I then do a comparison to a standard, and sometimes when that comparison is done, the result is it's inconclusive. And this essentially means that I cannot say for certain if that individual is included or excluded as a possible contributor to the mixed DNA profile. So when I'm doing comparisons, I do something that's called a likelihood ratio, which is essentially comparing one event under 2 separate situations. So it's usually the DNA results given if a person contributed their DNA versus another person in the population with those DNA types. So when I'm doing that comparison, if it falls in that inconclusive zone, it'll be a range in which during my validation, it showed that there were some false inclusions and false exclusions when compared to standards. So in that range, I truly cannot say if that person is included as a possible contributor or excluded as a possible contributor.
Based on your training, experience, your expertise in the area, would there be instances where there is no DNA, there is not sufficient DNA for you to come to a determination?
Yes, sometimes with items of evidence, as I said, the DNA might just be too limited, so I can't do any comparisons to it, or other times, even with a mixed DNA profile, there might be information for a contributor or one of the individuals that makes up that mixed DNA profile that is higher and easily comparable to. And then sometimes there might be a second or third donor that's a little bit more limited in nature and has less DNA types present. And a lot of times that's where the inconclusive comparison will be seen.
For instance, is there necessary automatic DNA was present in the man?
Not all the time. So DNA, it depends on a lot of different factors that can contribute to DNA being left behind. So it depends on the individual. Some individuals shed their DNA more easily than other individuals. And then on the item, it depends on length of contact. So the longer one holds onto an item, the more likely I'm expecting to see DNA present. If someone touches an item very briefly, it's less likely to see that DNA present. Also, depending on the item, the DNA that's possibly already on that item, as well as the item itself. If it's a smooth item, less DNA usually gets left behind versus a rough item, because rough surfaces will kind of slough off more DNA. So it really depends on many factors.
If a person had gloves on, would that affect the DNA analysis?
Yes, that can affect leaving DNA behind.
And it would mean it would be less likely that DNA would be left or present on a particular item of evidence that you were asked to examine, correct?
Yes, that's possible.
Judge, may I have a moment?
Yes.
Mrs. Lasky, I think you said Mr. Tucker was one of the standards that you received in this case, correct?
Correct.
And there were inconclusive items that you could not include him in with respect to certain piece of evidence. Is that fair to say?
Some of the items that I did do comparisons to his standard were inconclusive, and I could not say whether he was included or excluded as a possible contributor to those items.
Nothing further from this witness. Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Cross-examination.
Boy, that was quick.
Just crime laboratory analyst Oslowski.
Okay, got it.
Or
Good
analyst
to know.
Oslowski is fine.
Did you get the subpoena that I tried to send?
I don't think so.
Okay, just checking. Maybe I had the wrong email, whatever. Okay, so we just heard the prosecutor go over the explanation for inconclusive results. Now, did you get some conclusive results in this case?
So there was some DNA evidence that I compared the buccal swabs, and he was excluded as a possible contributor to those DNA profiles.
Okay, and would that DNA profile include the knife that was tested in this case?
Is it okay if I refer to the notes for
Yeah,
all those
please.
samples? So I did take a sample from the blunt end of the handle of the knife, and for that, Franklin Tucker was excluded as a possible was inconclusive. So he failed to demonstrate sufficient statistical support for inclusion or exclusion to that item. For the handle of the knife that I took a sample from, Franklin Tucker was excluded as a contributor to that mixed DNA profile. Let's see. I believe those were the main samples that I took from the item, other than I did take 2 areas from the blade in which I got a complete DNA profile, but that DNA profile had matched the DNA profile from Matthew Bonnet.
And was that a mixed DNA profile as well? Was there somebody else on that blade?
So on area C and D of the blade that I had taken, that was a complete profile. So that was indicative of a single source profile. For the handle of the knife, that demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 3 donors.
Okay, and who were those 3 donors?
So I did comparisons to standards that were submitted in the case. Rory Wilson was included as a possible contributor to the mixed DNA profile. And then I did the likelihood ratio that I mentioned, which is a statistic to give weight to that comparison. And the observed mixed DNA profile is 12,000 times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Rory Wilson and 2 unrelated individuals than from 3 unrelated individuals. I then did a comparison to Matthew Bonnet. He was included as a possible contributor to the mixed DNA profile. The observed mixed DNA profile is 9.9 million times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Matthew Bonnet and 2 unrelated individuals than from 3 unrelated individuals. I did the comparison as well to Paula Belmonte, and she was included as a possible contributor to the mixed DNA profile. And the observed mixed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Paula Belmonte and 2 unrelated individuals than from 3 unrelated individuals. And then I also did comparison to John John Johnson, and he was excluded as a contributor to the mixed DNA profile.
And Ms. Oslowski, just in layman's terms, because I love the science behind it, but I'm a little bit more of a layman. Would that mean that it's highly likely that Rory Wilson at some time handled that knife and that it came into contact with both Matthew Bonnet and Miss Paula Belmont?
So since I'm never present, I can never fully say how DNA got on an item, when it got there, or under what circumstances. I can only do the comparison and say if the DNA types could be included as a possible contributor to the mixed sample, and then do a likelihood ratio to that comparison.
Okay. But again, those are the three main contributors I would from what I'm gathering from your report.
Those three individuals were included as possible contributors, and then I did the likelihood ratio to get the statistic for it.
Okay, and what about the mask that you tested, the mask that was used?
So for the mask, let me take a look. So I took several areas, several samples from the mask. So an area A of the mask that I called, which was a area that gave chemical indications for the presence of blood. And this was on the exterior bottom right jaw area. The DNA results was a complete DNA profile consistent with a female individual. And that DNA profile matched the DNA profile from Paula Belmonte. And I did a statistic or the likelihood ratio to that comparison. And the observed DNA profile was greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Paula Belmonte than from an unrelated individual. And there was other limited data that was not interpretable that was observed in that sample, but was too limited to do any comparisons to. So that was one area. Then there was another area that gave chemical indications for the presence of blood. I named this area B, and it was on the exterior right side of the forehead. The DNA results obtained from that area demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 2 donors, including at least 1 male contributor. And then I did comparisons to all the standards that were submitted. Paula Belmonte was included as a possible contributor. I did the likelihood ratio. The observed mixed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur. The sample originated from Paula Belmonte and 1 unrelated individual, then from 2 unrelated individuals. And then comparison of the profile from Franklin Tucker to the mixture obtained failed to demonstrate sufficient statistical support for inclusion or inclusion. So therefore it was in that inconclusive zone. So there's no determination can be made regarding the contribution of Franklin Tucker. And then Rory Wilson, John Johnson, and Matthew Bonnet were excluded as contributors to that mixed DNA profile. I then had an area that I called Area C, and this was also an area that gave chemical indications for the presence of blood. And this was the exterior left bottom jaw. The DNA results obtained demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 2 donors, including at least 1 male contributor. Matthew Bonnet was included as a possible contributor to the mixed DNA profile. The observed mixed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Matthew Bonnet and 1 unrelated individual than from 2 unrelated individuals. And then Paula Belmonte was included as a possible contributor to that mixed DNA profile. The observed mixed DNA profile was greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Paula Belmonte and 1 unrelated individual than from 2 unrelated individuals. I then compared to Franklin Tucker, Rory Wilson, and John Johnson, and they were excluded as possible contributors to that mixed DNA profile. I then took a sample from the whole interior of the mask, and that demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 2 donors, including at least 1 male contributor. And I did comparisons to the standards that were submitted, and Rory Wilson was included as a possible contributor to the mixed DNA profile. The observed mixed DNA profile is greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Rory Wilson than from 1 unrelated individual than from 2 unrelated individuals. Comparison of the profile from Paula Belmonte to the mixture obtained failed to demonstrate the sufficient statistical support, so it was in that inconclusive range. And therefore no determination could be made regarding the contribution of Paula Belmonte to that item or to that area. And then Franklin Tucker, John Johnson, and Matthew Bonnet were excluded as contributors to that mixed DNA profile.
Ms. Oslowski, again, just if I put it wrong, you just please correct me. Now, area A, C, B, the jury's not quite, I'm sure, we're not looking at the same map right here. Would it be proper to say that Rory Wilson's DNA was the high contributor on the inside of the mask?
So for the inside of the mask, he was included as a possible contributor. And then I was able to do a likelihood ratio to that. And then otherwise, Franklin Tucker, John Johnson, and Matthew Bonnet were excluded as contributors. And Paula Belmonte was failed to demonstrate the sufficient statistical support for inclusion or exclusion.
What was the likelihood of Rory Wilson?
So the observed mixed DNA profile was greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Rory Wilson and one unrelated individual than from two unrelated individuals.
And then the rest of the ones the rest of the samples that you had were from the outside of the mask, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that would have been a contributing of Paula Belmont and Matthew Bonnet, correct? That were conclusive.
So these were areas that were reddish brown in color and gave chemical indication for the presence of blood. And then for area A, it was a complete female, consistent with a complete female individual, and it matched the DNA profile of Paula Belmonte. And then I did the statistic, the likelihood ratio. And then the area B was a mixture consistent with two donors, and Paula Belmonte was included as a possible contributor. And then for area 8C, which was a mixture of two donors, Matthew Bonnet was included as a possible contributor, and Paula Belmonte was included as a possible contributor.
Okay, thank you. Now, as far as the inconclusive results, there's a lot of things that can cause inconclusive results. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and again, I've heard of secondary DNA transfer. Can you please explain what that might be?
So secondary DNA transfer is something that would occur. So say that I touched this glass of water, and then the bailiff touched the glass of water, and then we swabbed his hands, and my DNA was on his hands. So we didn't have any direct contact, so it was secondary transfer.
Okay, but that's where that likelihood ratio comes in. Is that correct? Where it's more direct, or there's more than enough DNA for the sample?
So honestly, with my DNA results, I can never say how the DNA results got there. I can't say if it got there from primary, secondary transfer. I can only testify to the DNA results that I obtained and then do a comparison.
Would it be more likely if there was more of a sample, say if you had a larger sample as opposed to a smaller one?
It really depends on, really depends on the sample. And depending on the item. So sometimes it might be a really large item, but there just might not be DNA present. So sometimes DNA just isn't present on an item. Other times there could be DNA results, but it could just be too limited. Or there might be DNA results. If there's a biological fluid, sometimes that DNA result will be more prevalent than other DNA that's present.
Now, the prosecutor also mentioned gloves, how that might affect the DNA results. Now, would gloves totally block the DNA, or would it be the DNA that's on the outside of the gloves that you might pick up, in your opinion?
So wearing gloves, I would expect DNA to not go through the gloves. I wear gloves at my job when I'm doing DNA analysis to try and prevent my DNA getting on an item. But obviously it's difficult to say what DNA might be on the outside of the gloves depending on if an individual touched other things and then touched something else. So it would be difficult to really say.
Right, that would be that secondary, or the secondary DNA transfer would be outside of the gloves, right?
Depending on what they touch or if they touch the outside of the gloves themselves.
Okay. Okay, so again, we go back to those inconclusive results. They can happen for a lot of reasons. And could you explain some of the reasons that might actually happen?
I'm sorry, one more time. Did you say
The inconclusive results, why that might happen?
So with the results where I cannot say definitively if they're included or excluded. So obviously it's possible that the DNA just, when doing a comparison to an individual, their DNA might just not be present. And obviously that can be an option, as well as sometimes, as I was saying, there can be DNA that's present, but it could be too limited or not enough to be able to see the DNA types there. And sometimes there can be another high profile that could be overwhelming the sample, preventing other DNA from being present. So those are kind of the three main things that can affect seeing DNA present.
Okay. Again, like if a mixture like that, it becomes hard and I get it. Let's see, hold on. Was there any DNA from Miss Bellamont on any other objects besides the mask and the knife that you tested?
Just look through. So I did have some clothing that was submitted. There was a dark blue long sleeve shirt. And I tested some areas and took some samples forward for DNA analysis. So there was the inside left wrist that I took a sample from, and that demonstrated the presence of a mixture that was consistent with 2 donors, including at least 1 male contributor. And Paula Belmonte was included as a possible contributor to that mixed DNA profile. The observed mixed DNA profile was greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Paula Belmonte and 1 unrelated individual than from 2 unrelated individuals. I also obtained partial DNA profiles consistent with a female individual from the inside back left forearm as well as the inside front left forearm. And those DNA profiles matched the DNA profile of Paula Belmonte. And the observed DNA profiles were greater than 700 billion times more likely to occur if the samples originated from Paula Belmonte than from an unrelated individual. And then I also had a shirt, another shirt that was from a Roger Roggett. And I had a sample from, let's see. So with items that are collected directly from an individual, I can expect to see their DNA types present. So this item was said to come directly from Roger Roggett. So I was expecting to see his types, and there were 2 areas, the back middle right and back lower right. And he was expected to be a donor to that item. And then a complete foreign DNA profile consistent with a female donor was obtained from items 17D and 17E, which was the back middle right and back lower right. And that foreign DNA profile matched the DNA profile from Paula Belmonte. And then I did the statistic, and the observed foreign DNA profiles greater than 700 billion times were likely to occur if the samples originated from Paula Belmonte than from an unrelated individual.
Okay, and Ms. Ostrowski, I'm just going to ask you a few more questions just to make sure here. Now, was my DNA, Franklin Tyrone Tucker, just to be clear, was my DNA included in anything in this case? Was it actually, included as nothing inconclusive?
So for the DNA results that I obtained, there was no samples that he was included as a possible contributor.
Okay, thank you. One other thing, the reason I asked about secondary DNA transfer, how often does that happen airborne? Does it normally have to be something you touch or something you come into contact with?
I'm sorry, can you ask the question one more time?
Can you have airborne DNA transfer, or is it, secondary DNA transfer or anything like that?
It's difficult to say. I mean, if someone spits kind of on an item, then that can contribute to DNA being left behind.
I would imagine that could happen. Okay, so if you have something like the knife, right, and you have both victims' DNA on the blade or on that knife, right? Now, could it be concluded that it's highly likely it was used or came into contact with both people?
So once again, my likelihood ratio or my DNA testing doesn't determine that. I can't determine how that DNA got there. I can tell you that the samples that I took from the blade gave chemical indications for the presence of blood, and then tell you the results I got, and then the comparison to the standards that I obtained.
No, but would it be highly unlikely that the DNA from one individual could go across the room to another?
Mr. Tucker's testifying.
I'm asking a question.
Well, yeah, but it seems like, but go ahead, finish the question.
Anyway, would it be highly unlikely that the DNA from one item could jump across the room and get on the wall?
Just cause speculation.
She's an expert.
Well, experts don't get to speculate, but if you are able to answer it, you may.
DNA cannot just move from one item to another
That's what I was
across
asking.
the room.
Thank you, Ms. Oskowski.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was asking. Maybe I didn't ask you correctly, but thank you for your time, and thank you for coming out today. Done with my thoughts.
Is there any redirect? Absolutely.
Boy,
Good afternoon.
look at how she looked at him. Rude
You
people.
indicated, or you testified and mentioned the name John Johnson.
Yes.
Was he excluded from DNA on the knife based on your report, if I refresh your
Let me just
recollection?
Double check. So from the blunt end of the handle, he was the comparison of John Johnson to the mixture obtained failed to demonstrate the sufficient statistical support for inclusion or exclusion for the blunt end of the handle. And then John Johnson was excluded to the DNA results from the handle of the knife. And then the two areas on the blade, as I mentioned, that that match the DNA profile of Matthew Bonnet.
Okay. Just to recap for the jury, would you please recap for them the items of evidence that the defendant in this case could not be excluded from? They came up inconclusive.
So for the blunt end of the handle of the knife, the comparison of the profile from Franklin Tucker to the mixture obtained failed to demonstrate the sufficient statistical support for inclusion or exclusion. So I cannot make any determination to that item or that part of the handle of the knife. Were you asking just about the knife or just all items?
No, and the other items that were inconclusive with respect to this defendant.
Okay, so then area B of the mask that gave chemical indications for the presence of blood, which was the exterior right side of the forehead. The comparison of the profile from Franklin Tucker to that item failed to demonstrate the sufficient statistical support for inclusion or exclusion. And then there was the interior of the mask. Oh, no, excuse me. Let's see. Nope, not that one. He was excluded to the interior of the mask. To the inside left wrist of the first shirt, the dark blue long sleeve shirt that I mentioned. Comparison of the profile from Franklin Tucker to the mixture obtained from item 11C, which is what I called it, the inside left wrist. It failed to demonstrate sufficient statistical support for inclusion or exclusion to that item. And then I also took a sample from the inside right arm, right wrist, left upper arm, lower back, and lower front of that shirt, and comparison of the profile from Franklin Tucker to that mixture obtained, because it actually demonstrated the presence of a mixture with 3 donors. It failed to demonstrate sufficient statistical support for inclusion or exclusion, so no determination could be made regarding the contribution of Franklin Tucker to that item. There was also a pair of black gloves, and from the right hand outside top wrist, I took a sample, and that demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 2 donors, including at least 1 male contributor. And the comparison of the profile from Franklin Tucker So the mixture obtained failed to demonstrate sufficient statistical support for inclusion or exclusion, so no determination could be made regarding that item. Then from the left hand inside of a glove, comparison of the profile, well, that first demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 3 donors, including at least 1 male contributor. And the comparison of the profile from Franklin Tucker to that mixture obtained failed to demonstrate sufficient statistical support for inclusion or exclusion. So no determination can be made regarding the contribution of Franklin Tucker to that item. And I believe that concludes the inconclusive comparisons.
So it's safe to say that there was numerous items of evidence that you didn't have a sufficient DNA sample to compare with Mr. Tucker in this case.
So those are the items that I did get DNA results, but the comparison showed that it was in an inconclusive range. So therefore, no determination can be made regarding if he's included or excluded as a possible contributor to those DNA results.
Okay. And just to make sure you only received 1 mask to analyze in this case, correct?
Correct.
No scarves, no gator scarves or anything like that were ever submitted to the lab, correct?
Correct.
You testified with respect to, I guess, the level of DNA on the knife with respect to Mr. Wilson. What was that level?
Do you mean the amount of DNA that was actually present?
Yes.
Okay, or do you mean the statistic? I don't know if
The
I got
statistic,
into-
I'm sorry,
Okay, I was
I
gonna say, I don't think I
apologize.
got into the amount of DNA. So from the handle of the knife,
Yes, ma'am.
so that demonstrated the presence of a mixture consistent with 3 donors, and he was, Rory Wilson was included as a possible contributor. And the observed mixed DNA profile was 12,000 times more likely to occur if the sample originated from Rory Wilson and 2 unrelated individuals than if from 3 unrelated individuals.
Now, Ms. Oslowski, if the defendant in this case is alleged to have been wearing gloves at the time of the murder and the robbery in this case, the likelihood that you would get an inconclusive result is a possibility, correct?
It could be possible. I do know gloves, as I said, can prevent sometimes DNA being left behind. But as I said, I can never fully say how DNA got there, when DNA got there. I can only just testify to the results that I obtained.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
May I recross to ask a
Well,
couple
you
of
have
questions?
approached the bench here to tell me what the questions would be. If the state would like to join us.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Additional preparation.
Yeah, that judge just seems so enthused, doesn't he? Like he's being
Obviously,
imposed on.
obviously he doesn't seem to have been anybody that represented themselves before. That's why he seems so irritated, in my opinion, because he kept making comments about that. So what? It's his right. However, now this DNA stuff, which is interesting, you only have Detroit's DNA, Paula's and Matthews, which are the 2 victims.
That's why I'm not understanding why we're even here.
Right. Very interesting. And for some reason, they're trying to, Paula's, one of the victims, and she lived. And she said immediately when the cops got there, because they were asking, she said she knew the one was Detroit. What did she say again, Grandma? She knows
He was
it.
black, and he goes by the name of Detroit.
And then Detroit tried to say it was Ty because his middle name's Tyrone. It's it's confusing, very. Or no, he said that there's another Detroit there too. Whatever. I don't know. So confusing. So they can't prove it. I know, right?
They need to throw it all out. I mean, it's just a waste of money and time here, what I'm seeing. Come on.
I know. And I see every witness they had was super, super rude to him. Especially this DNA lady, just
If
glaring.
I was him, I would, after this is all over, I'd pack my stuff and get the hell out of there.
I would too.
That's what I'm saying. They want him locked up for a reason because this don't make any sense to me.
Travis got confused because he thought Rory was the white guy and Tyrone the black guy. Oh, I didn't know that. I guess I didn't realize it because remember the body cam after, the police got there? It was like an hour long.
Yeah. Of
And-
nothing.
Yeah, we started the very first body cam that was put out to the public from Lauren and Ty.
And where the one said to the other one, I hope your mute button's on. Remember?
The mute?
Remember when the body cams, when you were playing the body cams, one of the other officers said, I hope your mute button's on?
Yeah. Yeah. And what I don't get is how could they have Travis look at this these CCTV surveillance cameras, and then one of them they're saying that don't worry about the time, the date's correct, the time is off. Doesn't that make the timeline different then? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
I
not.
don't know. Throw it out. Move on. I don't understand this case. I don't see anything. No DNA. I mean, the lady just admitted that. They kept trying to push that there was.
Right. Well, I don't know about you guys. Anybody can go if they want. However, this Robert guy, no, his name, I don't know who he is. The one they've been talking about on day 5 here, I got his body cam footage right here. So, yeah, hold on. I'm going to find it. And plus that Michael from the Tom Thumb and the 911 call by somebody. So, all right, I'm interested to see who this guy is. Rabbit or somebody. Oh, Rugged. Roger Rugged. Okay, who are you, Roger? We're going to find out right now.
Okay, sir, we're here to talk to you about what happened earlier today over there behind CVS.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you okay? Because we understand that you may have been cut or hurt.
No, I'm fine. I just talked a couple of times. Yeah.
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 Did you get hit in the back of the head too?
No.
No? Where are you hurt at?
Let you have it, a couple of times,
Can you tell us what happened?
Well, I'm sitting there, drinking beer,
Uh-huh.
and these 2 guys ran up the steps, caught me, and pulled me, jerked me back up on the seat, and they put a knife in my throat, and somebody just, sit there, and that's all I did,
Which one told you to sit there?
Guy in a mask, he had a mask on, and it was a death mask,
Death mask?
Yeah. Skeleton mask. Skeleton mask.
Skeleton mask?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he have an accent when he spoke?
Well, he didn't say that. It was nice,
What did the knife look like?
Long and yeah. Long knife.
Okay. What happened after that?
He
caught me. I went through the screen or whatever, you know, and I get up and get out of there, you know.
Okay. Where did you go after you left?
Right here.
Right, you came right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, how many people came running up? How many people you said there were?
Two.
Can you tell me what they look like?
No, they were wearing a mask.
Both were they the same mask or different masks?
I didn't see too much of the other guy, but the guy was hit my, you know, about next to my throat was wearing a scalp mask.
Okay. Can you see any of his skin at all to tell what color he may have been? No.
But you know, I know he's black. You know, he was black. You know.
Okay. Was he skittish? Was he tall or short?
My size.
Your size? Was he fat or skinny?
Skinny.
Skinny. How tall are you about?
5'11".
5'11". So is he thinner than you or was he heavier than you?
He's about my size.
How much about do you weigh?
170.
Did you recognize the voice at all?
I believe you know, Paula knows who they were. You know.
Why you say that?
You know, you gotta attack her. You know, heavy set, black. You know, and she must have known. You know. I just feel that. You know.
Did you see any cars out front or anything? They leaving a car?
No.
Do you know how they left?
It just ran down steps when the other guy came up there, you know. And they took off down steps after him.
Where the guy was that?
The guy lives downstairs. He came up there and we started yelling and everything else started yelling and
What were they saying when they were yelling?
Cops.
Okay, so what level were you on? Because I know you go up the stairs and there's a first level.
I was on top.
All the way at the very top?
Yeah. Sitting in a chair, you know.
Because I know she's got like if you go up to the very top, her area's over in the corner here. Is that where you were, or were you over off to the side somewhere? Or?
I was sitting right there, a little canvas area, you know, like bed's right here.
Yep.
You know, a little canvas area, you know, sitting right there, and that's so fast, you know.
So you're sitting there. So just run me through. You're sitting there, and they come up the stairs, and a shorter guy comes up to you. Does he have a knife in his hand already?
Yeah.
Okay, and what happens as soon as he comes up to you? Does he say anything, or does he hit you first?
He nailed me. Yeah, he nailed me.
Okay, where did he hit you at? Okay, how many times did he punch you?
4 or 5.
With the same hand?
I don't think so.
Okay, then what happened after that? He's punching you, then what happens?
He pulled me back up, hit me again, you know.
How did he pull you up?
My shirt.
Where did he grab it at?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any gloves on?
I don't know.
I know you just grabbed your collar where he grabbed you, but is there any chance we could take that shirt from you tonight for evidence without touching the collar anymore? Is this the one you're wearing, or is it a different one? Is this what you're wearing?
Yeah.
You can just leave it right there. I'm going to grab it, okay?
Was it ripped from the fight, or was it ripped from
Yeah, he ripped my shirt. Yeah, he ripped my shirt.
All right, but he grabbed you right here on the front of the shirt, you said, right? Okay, so he actually got the shirt in your hand? Okay, we're going to take that from you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you heard what happened after you left? Have you called anybody or anything?
No, I've been drinking. You know, I would, you know, stay right out of there, right, you know.
What's your cell phone number?
I don't have one.
Do you have a phone number in case somebody needs to call you? Or we need to find you?
Well, yeah.
Let me ask you this while you're looking for that. Did they take anything from you?
No.
Nothing from you at all?
Here I am talking. Oh my God. Okay, Grandma. Remember they said Paula said there was 3 people, but only 2 people. We know Matthew, we know Paula. So this is the guy that would be the 3rd person that they're talking
Right.
about, allegedly. Oh boy.
That's what I'm understanding.
Yep.
Hey, Kitty.
Yeah, just taking out junk, you know.
How long were you there today?
Couple hours.
Who else had come by there today?
Just Matt, you know. You guys downstairs.
Anybody else come over to visit? Any other girls or guys come over?
No.
No? What's that? That's yours or is that a friend's?
Yeah.
Who's that to you?
It's my roommate, you know.
He stays here? What does he say at?
He sits over there at over the stadium.
You still live there too?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got some bad news for you. Okay, Paula, your friend, she got cut in her neck.
Yeah.
She's going to be okay, but she got cut bad. Matt, who lives downstairs, is dead.
No.
Yeah. Dead serious. That's why we've been looking for you to make sure you were okay.
All right. No.
I'm serious. Everybody's worried sick about you. We couldn't find you anywhere. And
yeah.
Roger, can I ask you, at any time were you bleeding?
No.
No? You didn't get a bloody nose or anything from the menu?
No. I just popped in there about 4 or 5 times.
On this side of your face?
No.
can you lift up your hat for a minute?
That's fine. Yeah, he's holding my hair, you know. You know what I mean?
Oh, keep your hand off for a second.
9 a.m. Garcia. No, that's terrible. God, yeah.
All right, do you need medical attention right now?
No, I'm fine.
You are? Okay. All right, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and Paula's not in any trouble, okay? But was there any illegal drugs there tonight? Marijuana?
No.
Pain medicine?
No.
Cocaine?
No.
Heroin or anything like that?
I had the beer, yeah.
Okay, what does she have? Okay.
Yeah, I go there with cooler, you know, with cooler beer, you know.
Yeah. Okay. But is there anything else you can think of that might help us find these people who did it? No.
No.
That got me. I'm going to give you my business card, okay? It's going to have my phone number and the lead detective's phone number on it. I would like for you to think about this, and if you think of anything at all, you give us a call, okay? We're going to try to come talk to you either today or tomorrow, actually Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, to get some more questions answered.
Oh.
His office, 7957 7957.
Oh.
I know it's a serious thing, okay? Grandma, are you watching Danielle's face and eyes? Oh my God. Oh shit. Watch her. Watch.
Okay, the lead detective's name is Matt Pitcher. This is his phone number right here, okay? My name is on the front. It's easier to read. It's Chuck Kellenberger, Monroe County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit. And my cell phone number is at the bottom here, okay?
All right.
If you remember anything, please give us a call. But we will be coming here to see you next couple of days to talk to you some more, okay?
Yes, yes.
All right? Do you have any questions for me at all?
No, I was drunk. I was drinking, you know.
All right. Well, if there's anything you remember, you know, this is serious, and we need all the help we can get. All right?
Good, yeah.
But you said the only person who was there since you were there for 2 to 3 hours was Matt.
Yeah.
Matt, Paula, and you. Nobody.
Look at her. Look at her looking around everywhere there, being all nosy. What is she looking for? Just saying.
else. Okay. Well, thank you so much, sir. We'll be in touch with you, okay? All right? Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Sad.
What? I saw?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that to your mom.
Yeah. What side they hold it up to?
Yeah, right there, right there.
Yeah. No scratches or anything. Yep.
Well, he's just, it's all right there. I was sitting in that chair, you know.
All right. Well, we're going to go back and try and work this here, okay, sir? So we'll be in touch with you, all right?
All right.
All right. See up here? Just because I nosy like that, I'm going to be like a cop right now. Nikes. Nikes. I wonder who these are. They're Nikes. So, yeah, there you have it. She's just, you know what I got to say here? Whoever did this, the other assailant, do you see how older that Paula and this man is right here? That's just really sickening. They had no chance. You know what I mean? And Matthew, I think Matthew was older too. Allegedly, I'm not 100%.
He looked older. I mean, when you looked at the pictures of him laying on the ground.
Yeah.
He looked older.
It sounds like he didn't know what was coming. If he was stabbed all the way
Well,
through.
wasn't he downstairs? So he went up to check on.
Yes.
See if they were all right. Yeah.
I don't think he knew they were off to the side because he got stabbed in one area from his diaphragm through his back to his back. All over drugs. Dang right.
People do crazy things anymore over drugs or money.
Yeah, they do, but let's see, how old is what's her name? Paula. I think she's 69 or 70. Yeah.
She's a woman that got stabbed, correct?
Yes, her neck got slashed.
Yeah.
But
somewhere today, I don't know where I saw it, there's a picture of him in the hospital visiting her.
Yeah, I showed that yesterday.
Oh, was that where I saw it? I knew I saw it somewhere.
Yeah. And they were making a big deal in court yesterday, State was, because he has a picture of him and Paula.
She has nothing to be afraid of for him, apparently. She doesn't believe he did it. She said that, correct?
Countless times. They've done 17, 18 interviews with her.
Why are they doing this then?
I have no idea. Hey, look who's here. Miss Kimberly, Jabronte's grandma.
Oh,
hey, girl. How you doing? I missed you. Been forever. I hope you're okay. That's another of my favorite Missouri mamas.
Yeah, we need to do another Missouri soon because a lot of stuff's happened lately.
Yes, I was just going to say that. People, tomorrow night, a regular night, 9:05, we need to get back to Missouri now. We need to get on what's going on. You know, we let it sit for a while, let things simmer, okay? But in the morning's going to be, because remember, the state rested, so tomorrow's going to be ties. So, you know, obviously we're going to watch that, but I mean, at 9 o'clock, I want to do what we do.
Yeah, some fishy stuff's went on again here in Missouri.
I believe it, and I cannot wait to find out. I don't mean it that way. It's
I
sad.
know.
It's sad. It really is. Do you think I was going to be all quiet? I know I haven't talked about it. Never. Hey, so far I can say at least I haven't gotten threatened with that crowd, unlike Butler County people threatening me.
I'm sorry. I just want to laugh when you say that.
I know. It's like, really? Come on. You're kidding, right? I'm not afraid. I'm afraid of Jesus.
You're calling them out if they've got. Just put it this way, kid. Why would they be trying to threaten you?
Oh,
if
it's
there's
crazy.
nothing to threaten you over? So if you had, why don't you speak out then? Tell us your side of the story.
Right. And that's what I even said on one of my lives. I'll be willing to talk to anybody respectfully, you know, and I will be respectful. And everybody knows that about me. What are you hiding?
Well, there's always two sides to a story. So I'm
Definitely.
interested in both sides.
Right. I know. I want to touch a little bit on that tomorrow, too. I was really upset. I just found out tonight through Miss Barbara.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah,
what
that
they
is
did to that woman.
horrible. I think the hospital should be sued and that police department. Drop her off in the middle of nowhere in a national forest. Come on.
All I can say is I heard it was searched before. So how'd she get there?
Obviously, they didn't use drones.
They used drones at Timmy's.
That's true. They did, didn't they?
Finally, in April. But they were not looking for that. I mean, they looked for the family and the friends, but law enforcement wasn't out there getting cold looking for.
No. They did. Okay, from what the brother said, they weren't cooperating with them. They didn't have dogs. They didn't have any searches that they knew of, a search, group. No dogs, no helicopters. You know what I mean? Nothing. That's terrible.
It was freezing cold out. Why would you not, knowing a person is missing?
Right.
I mean, what is happening in the world? Please.
And look at what Miss Kimberly says. When I heard that a cop dropped her off, I'm like, wait a minute. It just made you look at law enforcement. Like, what's going on here?
I still want to have hope and believe that there's some law enforcement that are good, but man, my faith is going down in that situation, in that area.
Well, I've only come in, a few cops in my life that I can trust, right? And let me tell you, that cop calling me to see if I was okay tonight, that made me feel good. I'm like, okay, you're a good one. I won't talk about you.
It was a refreshing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I'm like, okay, they're not all bad. I just want to know how he got my phone number. Oh my God.
Maybe he thought you were cute.
It's shit. Yeah. Cute. My daughter's like, maybe he wants to go on a date. I said, Kayla,
As I said, maybe he
he's
thought you
probably
were
in his
cute.
30s. Come on now. Yeah, it's
Some of them men that are in their 30s like them older women.
What did the cop do to her? You don't know about this case? Her name is Donna from Missouri in Washington County. She left a hospital. She was waiting for a ride to get to assisted living because she had brain surgery. Dropped her off at a dirt
2 miles, wasn't it, from her brother's house?
Yeah.
Instead of driving her the 2 miles and making sure the woman got in the house and stuff, that's what I would think a normal person would do. And just dumped her.
Grandma, your license plate wouldn't have that information. It would have my birth date and shit, but not your phone number. I think he got it from 911 operator, I must say.
Oh, he's interested.
Would it be for okay? You can be my
I
friend.
probably need to mute myself. I'm gonna start laughing now.
I'll be like, you can be my friend, okay? I just gotta ask some questions. Can you tell me? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, look at what Grandma said.
Can you look up so and so in a different state for me?
Yeah. Hey, maybe you do need a boyfriend, kid.
He had a duty to deliver. Shit.
So I said, did you read what she wrote?
Because I wasn't going to answer my phone. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Because it was on, block number. I'm like, oh my God. I don't, well, maybe I should get this one. And I did.
See how good it made you feel? He's trying to make you feel good already.
Well, you would have watched. He would have showed up at my door and be like, what the fuck is going on around here?
I've never had him call me in an accident and say, how you doing?
I mean, how many accidents do they, reports do they do in a day? Do you call everybody?
I'm telling you, he liked you. Ask Grandma, she'll tell you.
Should I call him for and say, hey, what's up?
Oh, man, you don't have his number back. You can't call him. Do you got his number?
Yeah, his number came up.
Oh, you need to call him back and say, how you doing?
How you doing? I just wanted to thank you. Let's go. Oh, it's so bad.
That's funny. Now you got me laughing.
That is so bad.
And Grandma's got the best comments to go with it.
Oh shit! And then I'll make sure I tape it. No.
Yeah, always have that recorder.
He doesn't even know what he's messing with. Oh my God! I got tears.
Me too. I'm belly laughing.
That's insane. I'm talking about the cop we're supposed to. No, we're still talking about my cop.
Yeah, her one that's interested in her. Hey, was he good looking at least? Do you remember him?
Oh yeah, I remember him. He was too.
Oh, you said that too quick. You
He was too
remember
fucking
him.
friendly. You kind of be like, why you being so kind? That's where my mind goes actually.
Well, yeah, because all the stuff you've heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the same way. One gets behind me, and I don't even have to be getting pulled over. If they're just anywhere around me, I get nervous. I ain't gonna lie, I do. I mean, I see a cop anywhere, I get nervous.
Oh, not me. I look at him. Sometimes I
not
wave.
me. I mean, I used to, but since this stuff with Timmy, now I use my cruise control, which I never liked before.
Well, yeah.
Anywhere I go, you are not pulling me over.
They would lock you up and say the phones don't work.
Or say I committed suicide in their jail.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Well, we know it happens.
Yeah, I know, but still, I don't want nothing happening to you. That's all right, though. If you go missing, I'll be on the hunt. I will
Yeah,
be.
probably need to send you my DNA.
Oh, shit, huh? I'm going to buy me a damn drone then.
Yeah, they should have found that girl. If she was there, she should have been found.
Well, you know what I did, right? I seen the family wasn't getting help. I read what the brother wrote, right?
Yeah.
So I made a post on Facebook and I tagged them, telling them that they should talk to the family. It's the right thing to do. And you should talk to a news agency. And I said, right now, you failed, Donna. You failed, Donna. Damn right I did.
Yeah, the family got a hold of me.
I bet they're so sad.
I don't have words.
Right.
I cannot believe they didn't keep looking for her.
Well, especially with the brain surgery.
They should have drove her up to the door and opened the door and made sure she walked in. Let's be for real.
Well, and then I hear the cop said that she said no. Who cares?
And I would have said, no, ma'am, I'm not leaving you until I watch you walk in the door. That's what a cop should do.
But the road that she so-called road, it wasn't even a road or a driveway. They dropped her off at.
Yeah, there's pictures out there now. It looks like a muddy road.
Really? Actually, it was a female cop.
And them
No,
female cops.
I wonder if the hospital told her that she had to go to a trying to get to a home. Not home. Assisted living. Because she can't take care of herself. I don't know. Who knows? I'm sure.
Whatever the case may be, she was in the care of the police officer.
Yeah.
She should have never got dropped off out of that car.
Especially with
That
this
police
kind of
officer
weather.
should have made sure she was okay.
Right. And just think, in that forest area, it's colder.
Shit is freezing. I just got over getting my water unfroze.
Yeah, jeez. I'm happy that finally worked.
Mm-hmm. You don't realize how many. I know it's only 2 days, but you miss water when you don't have it.
I bet. I mean, the simple thing, like you said, brushing your teeth.
I was like, oh, I had to go buy water.
That's
So I could
great.
brush my teeth and stuff. I wasn't expected.
You would think because you had it. It's all winterized. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a little piece. It's a
Really?
little piece of wire that was not getting any electric to.
Oh, from the heat tape.
Yep,
Okay.
but it's fixed now.
Fixed
That's
now.
all I care about. I'm just happy. I just started jumping around as soon as I heard water coming out.
Well, first it came spurting out, didn't it? Like air. You're like, come on, come through.
Yep. I'm going, yes. It's like
Right.
watch a football game, Get a touchdown.
Right on. Bears. What do you mean, bears? You think a bear got her? What? That'd be awful, wouldn't it?
Oh, no. No, there's details. I just can't. It ain't my right to speak them.
Right. Yeah, keep it to yourself. I know you will.
I mean, the family didn't say I could say anything. I'm not saying anything. They'll put their story out when they're ready. I could hooked them up with you though. and Thomas.
Oh,
Thomas
yes.
said he
Yes,
wanted to
yes.
do something with you and him. I
Yeah.
said, that'd be great.
Yeah. And I can't find his phone number. I thought I had his phone number, and I went to send him pictures and video of my grandson at the basketball thing that he went to, because he, if it wasn't for Arctic Fox, my grandson wouldn't have been able to go. He donated quite a lot. And I went to send it on. It says message not sent, cannot deliver. I'm like, what? Because I'm not saying
I'll get you the phone number tonight. I'll send
it's
it to you.
it's the only number in my phone. I'm not going to say the state that I have in my phone. I forgot to put his name with that phone number. Obviously, it ain't working. I'm like, no. So I've been tagging him on the videos of my grandson being with the Minnesota Timberwolves guy, Cat.
That's awesome. That's sweet. Thomas is grateful.
I know.
mean,
You know what?
he is generous.
He's always been so good to me. And you know what? He's been the only
He
YouTuber.
donated quite a bit of money to Timmy's second autopsy.
Oh, good. That was nice. And you guys are close, though. See, before, Arctic was around, or Headline Bitch was around, Arctic had been the only one for 5 years that ever shared anything of mine. And then the Headline Bitch started following me, 5-6 months ago? And she does. Does that tell you anything? That is a good person.
I don't know how I don't even know how I got set up with Arctic, but something happened. I was going 100 miles an hour. I don't know how I even heard of him, but he was the first person that helped me really get Timmy's picture out there.
Well, you
we
know
got
what?
close.
There's actually people, and I'm sure you find out, that really do care. Who can you trust, especially in your situation?
I'll tell you, when Arctic donated that money, I was shocked, but so grateful. I didn't have words to tell him how grateful I was. Because he would sit up at night and cry with me sometimes when he wasn't on the air, just helping me get through dealing with Timmy missing in the beginning and then the after effect.
Well, I remember contacting you after I found out what happened, and I wanted your I asked you if you had a Cash App or PayPal because I wanted to send you something. You go, nope, all I need is prayers. I'm like, oh, I wanted to help somehow.
No, I don't trust them apps or anything. Nobody's getting into my stuff. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
Anybody, I have so many people, send me your Cash App. No, sorry. Thank you. But if they say they'll pray for me, then I'm grateful for that. But if you're just asking me for my app, no, I don't need that. My neighbor got ripped off a couple $100 off that Cash App.
Cash App?
Mm-hmm. Said she owed him money. She went through an ordeal. I said, that's why I don't mess with that stuff.
Yeah, that stuff makes me nervous.
Yeah. But definitely need to do another Missouri thing because there's a lot right now that's going on in them same little areas.
Oh, yeah, we will. Tomorrow night, 9:05. Why did I say 9:05? Because for some reason I'm weird like that. No, I know why. Because I pick up Nala from my dad at 9, and sometimes he talks too much. It's right. You guys know that about me. I'm like, I gotta read Nala. Hold on.
So how long did you stay with the kids?
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't even make it there. Yeah.
Oh, so the videos, you didn't make those videos then?
Of mine, of my grandson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did this morning.
Oh.
And then after that, about an hour later, I went to leave, and then I got into the accident. Then I was on the road, let's see,
Man, you got an exciting life, kid.
So it was an hour and a half on the side of the road because you got to wait for a cop, and then yeah.
Yeah, you got an exciting life.
My dad says to me, "Boy, you got some really bad fucking luck." I go, it's excitement. It keeps me on my toes, but it sucks too.
Yeah, I understand. Sometimes I want to slap myself and go, "Come on, what's next?" No,
come on, bring it.
Can't be nothing else.
It's because I love you guys, and that's what I'm here. I swear to God, that's what I'm here on earth to do, to give back to others. And I feel this is right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you guys will never see me ask for nothing. Ever, ever, ever.
That's why they tell you when you're having hard times, you're supposed to give back. It gets you through the hard times. Giving back.
Right. I never asked for anything, though. I have one time. And Arctic Fox is the one that helped me get my grandson to go to that Timberwolves thing that he was in.
That was awesome that he'd do that.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I was shocked when I saw what he did for Timmy's GoFundMe to get that second autopsy.
You had a
He
GoFundMe?
didn't have to do that. He had done so much for me.
Well, you know what? He's in it for the right reasons, like me, and he takes no shit. And see, that's where people are intimidated by him, and no, they shouldn't be at all. They don't know what a heart this man has. Just because he speaks from his heart and he's firm, there's no reason to not like him, or you know what I mean?
He says it like it is. That's what I like about him.
Right.
That's the kind of people are my friends.
Right.
They'll tell me how it is, and I'll just tell them straight up. I'm not going to get offended. Just tell me if you think I'm wrong, because we're friends.
Well,
So just tell me how it is.
Well, on here I got to tell people that no, Miss Barbara knows. I'm not laughing about it. The situation. It's hard, but it gets dark. You got to have some laughter.
Yep. Have to.
Yes, he is witty and sharp. Yes, he is.
Well, I'm in a lot of these groups now for the missing.
Well, yeah, I
And
know.
I mean, I share a lot of the missing stuff in different states, and I don't mind doing that. I'm happy to do it. I know what it feels like. So I don't have a problem doing that, but I had one lady say, well, you can't share that on this group because I don't like that person that made that. I'm not going to put names out there that made that missing thing, so you can't post that on my page. I'm like, what? That's what I thought that was for. I was kind of confused.
See, and that's the thing about it. If you're in it for the right reasons, it shouldn't matter.
I thought it was about the person that's missing, not who made the poster.
Right.
I mean, we're supposed to be looking at the poster and trying to find the person, not who created it.
Well, actually, I don't think people even they just look at the poster. They don't look at the people posting it unless they got an issue and notice that kind of shit. I don't.
I don't either. I just share.
Yeah.
If I see somebody that's got a person missing, they post it, I share it to groups that I'm in that can get the picture around. And especially if it belongs to that state. And it was a little surprising that somebody said that to me. I was like, what? What do you mean I don't like that person, and so you can't post in my missing persons thing? It's not funny. I'm laughing, but really, I was kind of like stunned.
Yeah, what do you say? You know what I mean? It's like,
well, okay, sorry I offended you. I'll move on. I won't use your page anymore. I mean, I still use the page, but I make sure the person's name's not on there because it's about getting the picture out. It's not about the person. I still want to share the person's picture that's missing. But it's a shame that it has to be that. It gets to that.
Right. All right, I'm going to get going here. I want to thank everybody for being here. And okay, the judge said court tomorrow is supposed to start at 8:15, but it won't. We all know this, okay? But you know, even if we start later, it don't matter because they take too many sidebars. Drives me nuts. But I don't want to miss Paula's testimony, that victim that lived.
Oh, I don't want to miss it either. I hope they have rewinds because I'm not sleeping much. I'll be honest. I'm seeing daylight before I'm being able to sleep lately.
Why? What's wrong?
I don't know.
Oh.
I slept for a few hours. I got up at 4 o'clock this morning, drank some coffee, tried to stay awake to just, I don't know. I'm not sleeping. Sucks.
Maybe you're, no, never mind. I'm not going to say it. All right, you guys. I love you all. Thank you for being here.
Love you.
And Ty,
Thanks all for being here.
Ty,
Love
get
you,
your
kid.
ass to court in time. Okay? Okay. Love you, Miss
Yes.
Barbara. Tell Ty, everybody. Tell Ty,
Yeah.
get your ass.
Ty, make it to court on time. We like
That's
you.
right. I'll come pick your ass up.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh my God. It won't end.